All right, we're ready to get the meeting started. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start with a roll call
Well,
here.
Mr. Silver. Burns. Sheridan.
Here.
Antebelli. Falcone. Here. The zoning solicitor and zoning officer office present.
All right. We're gonna go a little bit out of order here tonight too, so I'm gonna start with application Z 2025-14. Christine and Mark Vicolo of MVP Plumbing, 3703 West Chester Pike. The applicant is seeking variance relief from sections 172-123A and B, 172-127A to allow signage over what is allowed. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the C1 zoning district. Christine and Mark. All right, how are you? All right, Andy, is the file in order?
Files in order, the property was posted with the attached notice. It's on your screen. We also have evidence. We also have evidence of the mailing list for all property owners within 200-foot boundary that received notice. And we also have proof of publication that this application was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the applicant's application, accompanying documents and exhibits be marked as Township Exhibit Number 1. A list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property who received notice of tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit Number 2. Proofs of publication from the Delaware County Daily Times on 2 consecutive weeks be noticed as Township Exhibit Number 3, and the picture of the posting of the subject property noted on the screen be marked as Township Exhibit Number 4.
All right. They are admitted. And do we have anyone here who wishes to make public comment on this application or is a party protestant? All right, no one. All right. What was that? This is for MVP Plumbing at 3703 West Chester Pike. Are you looking to make public comment? Okay. All right. All right. It's all yours. Just take us through what you're looking to do and just, oh, sorry. That microphone green in front of you guys? All right.
Thank you.
All right, all yours.
So I think currently we're allowed to have 28 square feet, based on the size of our building. And right now we're seeking, a variance to allow our existing 80, it's a little over 84 square feet of our current signage, which what's shown here in addition to, there's a sign on a back. Yeah, that's covering a boarded window in the back of the building. And then also, I believe we're requesting an exemption that the pole signs, right now they're saying that there's a requirement that the pole signs be a part of a shopping center. So that was denied in our first application, but the building's been there for, we've been told close to 100 years. So that pole's been there for quite some time. So we were also seeking relief from that, in addition to the pole sign that's up as well.
Right. And what's your total square footage you said you're at now with what you have?
84. Yeah, 84.07. So that's including everything. That's the window sign, the banner, the pole sign, and the sign that's on the back boarded window.
And for the sign that they have in the front, they only, I guess, have to count the top section of that, right? For them, for signage. They're not responsible for what's coming as space available underneath, right?
We are actually including that as part of our, what we're asking for today. That's part of the square footage, and
Yeah.
that's included in the 84 square feet.
So similar to other applications like this, our ordinance does not protect existing nonconformities. So
Yep.
that pole sign, we recognize that sign, the pylon sign is existing. However, it shouldn't have been left to stand after the prior tenant had left.
Okay,
And then, of course, we limit the amount of signage on a property to no more than 2 square feet per linear foot of building frontage. And in this case, I believe we're about 15 linear feet. So they would have, limitation they would be under would be 30, maximum 30 square feet. And I believe the applicant's seeking 84 total
84.
square feet. With the pole sign, with the window signs, and with the sign over the window in the back of the building.
So there's 3 signs that comprise the relief that you're seeking.
Technically 4, if you're included, because the banner and the window are 2 separate ones, and then the pole sign is its own, and then the one in the back. So altogether, it'd be about 4 signs.
Okay.
are a lot of these signs being used just to cover up what the building looked like? I mean, aside from the one in the back, obviously with the boarded up window.
More aesthetics, a lot of
Yeah.
it, just to show that, you know, it's a nice space, trying to,
Yeah,
the
we tried to make it
strip.
look nice. We tried to work with what we had, like even on that pole sign, like we painted the pole so that it's white now, just to try and make it look nicer. Yeah, and the back sign, we just didn't really like the aesthetic look of it being a boarded up window, so we covered it, and also so it's shown from the back of the building like in case there was ever an emergency response, you can identify it from the back of the building, that it's MVP. And deliveries and things like that, but not that we get much delivered to the building, but just more so
Yeah.
awareness. It's definitely for advertising purposes, but we do try to keep the space maintained and looking nice, and keeping the aesthetics in line with the rest of Newtown Square's standards.
So the original sign that was on the pole, do you know what the square footage of that was?
It was exactly the same.
it
That
didn't
was
get
the same as
changed.
what you're gonna be putting up, or what is there now?
Yeah, it's exactly, it was another plumbing company that was there. We pretty much swapped out what they had and put our own signage up, and then the realtor, or not the realtor, our landlord has their own sign underneath of it.
So could you give me a breakdown for each of the signs, what the square footage is, please?
Sure. So the pole sign is 23.61 total square feet. That's including our signage at the top and then the landlord's sign underneath.
Yep.
The banner, that's not including the window, is 17.5 square feet. The one that's covering the back boarded up window is 13.59 square feet. And then the one that covered the actual like whole front window, that one is 29.37 square feet.
I'm sorry, 20,
29.37.
does seem like a lot of signs for the, considering that you're looking for a variance from the 30-foot linear foot amount. Is there any less signage you feel you could use when you have the pole sign out there at the corner?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, the main reason we got this building is for advertising purposes. We don't work out of it. We don't.
There's no walk-ins. or
There's
anything
no
like that.
walk-ins, there's no office. So I mean, we're plumbing, we're a residential service company, we're a residential plumbing company. So we do use it to
Okay.
advertise our business. I really wouldn't want to get rid of any of the signs because that's I mean, even if you're at the red light, I mean, the whole point is to kind of look over and see what it is and read it, and we try to not make it be anything that's, disturbing or takes away from,
I think if they take down the signs, I don't want the wrong impression saying, oh, they're out of business.
yeah, like that was the
So-
other thing, is I didn't want to start taking stuff down and people say like, yeah, what are they
What
not
happened?
doing good, taking the
Right.
signs down and stuff like that.
Of the signs that are there, which one is most expendable?
If you're willing to give something up for some concession here,
I guess, yeah, the
Back
back,
sign.
the back boarded up
the one
window,
covering the plywood.
yeah,
I would try to shine that
I
up.
would paint it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well,
but-
so even what we're looking at here, right, these pictures, I guess, one of the other pictures you're showing has an actual sign in the window, but that's not in here.
Oh, yeah, it's that one right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But just because that's not
Oh, yeah,
on what
it's,
we
it,
have.
oh, no, yeah, that's there,
So there's like two there, like the one above it and the one below it.
yes.
Mhm.
Do you have any input? I mean, I
I'd just
know,
like to point out, in light of the testimony, I'd just like to point out that under our sign definition, sign is defined as a display intended to advertise the business within.
yeah,
This is really a billboard.
That's what I was.
you're not
thinking.
doing anything out of there?
We store, we do work out of there and we store material in there and, we have meetings in there. So there is activity there. Just, there's no commerce or anything being done in there. Beyond whatever happens with the business.
I mean, if you were to make, just for, again, to go back to some of the concessions to potentially look at getting rid of the one in the window here. And I hate to see the back one go away, because then we're gonna be looking at what, a boarded up window?
Yeah. Yeah, the one that shows what we do in the window is like one of the ones that
Yeah.
yeah, the whole front part of the building is really what we like want, and yeah, the back, if there was any concession of, yeah, the back, like the one that's covering up the boarded up window, like you said, is kind of,
And
I
that
know.
pole, was that pole supposed to be taken down by previous tenant? That would.
That's what,
I'm
I mean, look, I
understanding.
get the pole piece of it. If I were to move in there and saw that, it'd be great, we could put a sign on this, because
Right.
it's there.
Mhm.
I understand that. I get wanting something on there as well, so.
Mhm.
And I think, and I'm only speaking for myself, I mean, it's the center of our town. And when Charles says it sort of has a billboard effect with all this stuff. That's why I was looking, we don't want to hurt your business, but we do think there ought to be some accommodation made since it's more than double what the zoning allows.
Mhm.
84 square feet.
Yes,
Total's 84 square feet.
yeah,
And they're allowed how much? 28,
30.
30? You gotta shrink some things here.
I mean, yeah, I guess, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I don't know where this is too. I mean, the buildings are very old, like they're look
They're
like
old.
they're falling down, to be honest. So it's just, we're trying to make it look nice. I mean, if we take our signs down, I honestly think it looks better with them up than if
It
they
looks-
were down.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I do, and I'm not just saying that because it's our business, and of course I want to keep them up. I do think it looks better with them up than if they were down. I think we have made an improvement to,
It
Being
does
there.
look better. I know what that corner has looked like. We all do. I mean, we've been looking at it for a while. It's just, I guess, looking at it and saying, where can we find a spot to kind of make everybody happy where it's not, when you said about really not working out of there, it just makes it seem like you're renting it for the billboard, which again, I think we get it.
yeah.
But again, finding ways to say, how do we just cut down, right? If you're gonna have MVP there, do you just paint that and not have it sort of slapped everywhere you possibly can on the building? And I don't know how this would work for us, and we don't have to make a decision tonight if we were to push this and you want to come back with some concessions to sort of reduce some
Yeah.
of what you're asking for, right? I don't want anybody to make any rash decisions right now and say, yeah, we'll eliminate X, Y, and Z. I think if we push this and you come back before us and say, hey, we talked it over, we think that we can do this and change this piece around, just to not go so far over, right? I mean, we have people that ask for changes, and this is essentially almost triple what, would typically go through.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
taking down the back sign, are you guys saying that wouldn't be?
Well,
enough?
think it through. I mean, we'll do that too. I feel like the back sign, is it actually a piece of plywood that's on that window?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like a warped piece of wood. So like we put the flower basket up and.
I'll have to
this
put
on
something
top.
over that, just to like,
Yeah.
at least a better piece of wood.
Yeah.
And if the front window sign was gone, what would you see, just an open room? Just a window?
We have
with that?
blinds.
We have blinds, but again, it's just,
Oh,
so that.
It's also like our material, our stuff, I don't,
Yeah.
it's
we
not like I don't
really-
trust it at night, but there is people walking by that I have expensive equipment in there.
Yeah,
I mean, is that something you're open to, thinking this over and just saying, hey, look, we can make a couple concessions here to come back before us? Because I don't want to be the one that's sitting here saying, take down this, this, and this, but think it through and see what could potentially change.
okay,
Just so it's still that everybody's happy in the end.
Or, put something on the inside. It's not necessarily signs, but kind of dictates what kind of work you do. And then that way, that'll take care of that. That's the biggest one, right? That's 29 square feet
Mhm.
In the window?
in the window, but you can still use it as merchandising, but you'll be merchandising things you do as opposed to a sign. That doesn't
the
even
frame.
come into play.
You want a toilet in the
well,
window?
I
that
think
kind
it's
of,
like, for instance, if you did generator work. put
Yeah,
like a
no,
big
it's
generator
not
in the
a-
window.
Yeah,
And
it's
say
not-
this is the kind of work we do.
It's
Or
not a
that
terrible
kind of
idea,
Things
no.
where people will get the idea and you're saving 29 square feet.
no, I appreciate that. And actually, the plumbing company that was there before did actually have a toilet in the window. So that's why I was trying to kind of avoid, and just because after a while, like when we first moved in there, I'm like, okay, I'll switch it up every season. I'll have a Valentine's Day theme and a Christmas theme, but then it's like, again, I wanted something just clean, kept looking, and just something that stays nice.
By
year-round.
changing, people will stop to look.
Yeah,
People expect something different all the time. We'll make it a point to look.
Not-
And,
not bad.
all you're trying to do is get people to recognize you.
yeah,
Signs, they stop looking at signs after a week.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really don't want to take down that pole, just because I feel like it's a whole process. And
What,
it's
the
like
pole
people-
sign?
the
Yeah,
pole-
I'm okay with the pole sign.
Yeah.
I think just trying to reduce some of the
Mhm.
overall
We're
coverage that
we're
we
taking
have.
30 feet away, so it brings you really close to the hardship part of it. that
Right.
We can kind of
Yeah.
justify doing for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can definitely regroup.
I'd rather that, so again, so it's not us dictating it
Yep.
right now, but to
Okay.
think this through,
Ask for continuance.
is that,
Requesting continuance till next month,
Okay.
Yes.
and we need a motion.
all right?
motion to grant the continuance for the matter to be brought up next month, May's meeting.
Second,
All right, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. So we'll see you May 15th.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next up is application Z 2025-13. Dustin Schaefer of 18 Main Street. The applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-34B subsection 4 to allow the installation of an in-ground pool and patio. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R3 zoning district. All right,
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, Dustin.
Sorry, I'm Felicia Schaefer.
Is the file in order?
The file is in order. You see a photograph on the screen of the posting of the property. We also have evidence of our notice that was mailed to all property owners within 200 feet of the property boundary. In addition, we have the proof of publication that tonight's hearing was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
Right, same.
Chairman, based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the applicant's application accompanying documents and evidence presented be marked as exhibit township number 1. List of residents within 200 feet of the subject property who were notified of tonight's meeting be marked as township exhibit number 2. The proof of publication for the Delaware County Daily Times on 2 consecutive weeks of tonight's hearing be marked as township exhibit number 3. And the picture posted on the property notifying local residents of tonight's meeting be marked as township exhibit number 4.
All right. They are admitted. And do we have anyone here who wishes to make public comment or party protest? So did you receive a letter about this, and then do you want to be a party protestant to go on the record? Okay. I guess, do we want to get
That's not true.
party protestants, right? All right, so we want to get their names and addresses. So if you want to step forward so we can get your name and address on the record. Yeah, just if you want to step up to the podium, we'll just get we can get it on the record. And you'll have the ability, we'll call you up after, you'll have the ability to ask questions based on the testimony that's given, so.
Ann Politis. ANN, last name's POLITES. Address is 21 Hickory Lane, Newtown Square.
All right, who else we getting?
Hi, Mary McLaughlin. McLaughlin. 17 Main Street.
Thank you. Anyone else? And again, you all received the letter in the mail, right? Just, okay.
Yes, sir. My name's Robert Atkinson. I live at 26 Main Street. Yes, sir. ATKINSON. Yes,
Thank you. We just have to get your name on the record for now, so, any public comment on this? Anyone? Oh, you're a party protestant, you're good. All right. Will you both be giving testimony?
Yes, we have our engineer here. as
Well, just we'll get you sworn in so we can do it all in one.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
David Lisanti, LISAN.
Felicia Schaefer.
Dustin Schaefer.
All right. All right, floor is yours. Take us through what you're
Sure.
looking to do. And just for the party protestants, we'll let you know once they're done giving their testimony, you can ask questions based on the testimony that they gave. All right,
As you can tell by the diagram, we're looking to do an in-ground pool with a little bit of patio surrounding it, and that takes us over the impervious lot allowance. We both grew up with pools and we had a good time. We got 2 kids and they would like a pool. They've been doing swim lessons for the last year as a result of trying to put a pool in. So we're seeking exemption from the impervious to allow us to have an in-ground pool. We're both involved in the community. I coach my son's t-ball team. My wife Felicia's involved in the PTO. We enjoy the community. We like to spend more time in it. This allows us to do that. As we know, the summer can get hot. We don't have a shore house. We don't have really a way to escape the heat. And I think, I think we all would really enjoy a pool.
so Just making sure I'm already reading this. Are you already maxed out with your impervious coverage right now?
We're just under it. Yeah, we're at
0.6%.
Yes, that's it.
And,
Yeah.
and what's
40% is the allowable.
right for your zoning district? What,
Yes.
what will the pool add?
46.8% will be the total.
0.8?
46.8%, yes.
Oh.
So we bought the house in 2020. We were in a townhouse and we needed more space, with 2 kids. We have a long driveway. Actually, our front yard is bigger than our backyard. So we have a significant setback from the front, from the road. So the driveway eats up quite a bit of impervious.
What, I'm curious, what are the concerns from? Is your microphone on? I'm not trying to, if you want to just give me some of your concerns for what is going in.
So, Mary McLaughlin. I've been a resident of 17 Main Street for over 20 years now. So, I saw that house before they purchased it. There's hardly any backyard. In fact, the owners before them extended out a porch. So my concerns are the lot already utilizes the maximum impervious to increase it by at least 902 square feet. I think that is more, which keeps them below the threshold for additional stormwater management. I have absolutely no water issues for 22 years in any area of my house, including my basement. I do not want them now. Okay, I'm concerned about the stormwater runoff in the area. Since there are no storm sewers in the heights, I'm concerned about the construction disruption. The Main Street is not a real wide street. Where is this equipment going? Where is all this dirt going? What happens if the pool overflows? Where will the water go? Okay, their driveway runs into my driveway. And looking closely at what was provided on the website by the applicant, the owner, they failed to note the second shed, which is already on the property, does not show where or how the pool will be fenced, does not speak to storm water, and does not indicate whether the pool will be heated and how it would be heated. Is it a propane tank? There is just a square noting pool equipment that does not note square footage of impervious for it. Additionally, it looks like the plan would necessitate tree removal at the back of the property. That's not noted. Also, if you look at the picture and then look at the summary, if you add up the numbers, they don't equal. The picture equals 802 square feet, where you look at the summary, if you add those numbers up, maybe I'm wrong, but you guys can double check it. It adds up 902 square feet. I'm just concerned that this is going to cause issues for neighbors in the area that have had no stormwater issues whatsoever, except for Hickory Street at the bottom of the hill. If you look at pools without decks, you will see, I mean, where's the patio going? I mean, where's this all going? They bought the house, they could see with the porch that there was no room for a pool of this size. And I understand they have children and they want to have a pool. Well, if that was my goal to begin with, I would have purchased a home with a much larger yard to put a pool in. I believe they're already at maximum coverage. And is the township going to guarantee me, as well as all the neighbors, that we're not going to have any water issues? And Aqua just came in a couple years ago and installed all new water in the streets. So these are the things, when they excavate for this construction to be done, where are all these trucks going? Where is all this dirt going? Main Street's not a real big street. These are my concerns. And also, did the engineer do a survey? I don't see it on the paperwork. I don't see any boundary survey. I don't see
I think
anything. There's
just
not
to-
much listed.
So just at the early stages of this to see if they can even get the
Okay.
approval. So
And
your
if you
concerns
go,
in short are stormwater management.
If you look in the Heights, there's one in-ground swimming pool in the Heights. I believe I could drive by and call you. It's at Summit and Locust, and those folks have a whole separate lot for their in-ground pool. You can look into that. I think it's back on Locust or Summit. So they're just some of my concerns.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are they the same concerns across the board here, or is this?
Mine is drainage, and Politis, Politis. I don't see a formal drainage plan to prevent the water running into my yard. Their backyard and my backyard run into one another. So it's an elevated. I also have had water issues. The last year, I lived there 10 years. Last year was the first time I just paid $6,300 to have my yard pretty much regraded. So it goes away from the house. So without proper drainage, making sure that the drainage is going towards the street and not towards my backyard, to prevent any foundational cracks. Also, I don't see where they're going to build a retaining wall. If there's going to be a retaining wall. They're also, when they're digging, is there going to cause any issues to my foundation or the neighbor's foundation as they're digging? And is the township going to guarantee, or the resident's going to guarantee that they're going to be held liable for our foundation issues? Again, erosion into my property. I was told when I purchased my home that my fence goes 5 feet from my property line. So from looking at the diagram, they said that they're 11.5 feet, but 5 of that feet is my property line. So they're really only sitting back 6.5 feet.
May I speak?
Of course.
Okay, we did have it surveyed. We're not seeking any exemptions from setback requirements. We are meeting the requirements for setback for pool from lot lines. And talking to the pool construction company, it's 1 day of excavation. So
Soil would be removed in trucks. The trucks were going to be on our very long driveway and taken away. Trying to think of all of the different questions. We're definitely open to addressing your concerns.
yeah, and I think we would be willing to do simplified stormwater management for the backyard.
For the additional 8, rounding up 8%, taking considerations that should cover any possibilities.
Kevin, not to interrupt, but maybe the overview by the engineer might be helpful.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to step forward and take us through this.
Well, actually, the Schaefer's covered the majority of what I was going to speak about. So I think that they're doing a modest sized pool. They're already maxed out. They're exceeding the maximum limit by about 7 or 8%. Stormwater management is certainly something that they would be okay with doing, even though they're under the limit for having to provide stormwater management. It's a small backyard, but we're meeting the setback requirements. So other than the impervious cover issue, they're meeting all other zoning requirements. I'd be happy to address anything that was said tonight. Was certainly a lot of different issues that were brought up, so I'm not going to address every single one of them. If there was something that was mentioned that's a concern of the boards, I would be happy to address it.
Yeah, our problem is, they want to exceed the impervious by significant amount. I mean, it's not like it's, maybe 1% or 0.5%. It's, I mean, it's significant. So I believe, that they're going to have to figure some way of knocking off. I mean, they're exceeding the impervious by, over 855 square feet. And so they may have added 902, but they exceeded it by eight hundred and 55 square feet. They need to decrease that number.
Yeah.
They gotta have to decrease that number.
Across the back.
They could get rid of some of these pavers and decks and porches and the patios and all these extra things are gonna have to be reduced. It's just not gonna work, because you have no hardship, other than the fact that you want it, and you want it isn't a hardship. So, I mean, they've got to figure out what they need to get rid of. They got a big driveway, maybe make some of that some kind of pervious. I don't know what the township regulation is relative to impervious or pavers that are pervious. They may have certain ones you can use, but I think you're gonna have to reduce it to get me to grant you it.
I mean, the reality is that we never had any stormwater runoff issue. in our
That's
yard.
not, just because you haven't had it, you add 855 feet. It's not so much what you have a problem with. It's what happens when the water runs downhill.
Well, isn't that why there's stormwater management?
Well, that's why there is stormwater management, so that
And
it
we're
doesn't
willing to
run
do that.
downhill. And the township says, the ordinance says that you're allowed 40%. That's 5,000 square feet of impervious surface. You want 855 extra feet on that. That's not being reasonable. You're
Well-
gonna have to get rid of some of these.
I understand. I believe your mind is made up. That's fine. But I will say that some of these features, I think that they get blown up a little bit because of how small the lot is. It sounds like 40% is a lot of percentage, but this is a very small lot. So you're saying it's a big driveway. I disagree. It's not a big driveway. Most of the features on the property.
I
are very
didn't
modest.
call it that. You called it that.
Well, I think the numbers don't lie. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're
I called it
pushing
a big
50% and saying almost half the property is gonna be covered
Yeah.
with impervious surface, that's a lot, regardless of how this is laid out. And I think even looking at the plans here and seeing the size of the paver patio, the porch, the deck, the walkways, I mean, you have a lot of stuff that, what we're saying is you can make some changes if you want a pool, that maybe there's some stuff you eliminate before you get that.
Is,
Plus, I just to go back up from that. I'm questioning or have questions about the impervious surfaces summary that attached to the plan. Because as referred to, I see two sheds on this plan. Does the shed designation in the impervious surfaces summary, when it says shed, is that both sheds?
yes,
It is,
yes.
okay. I see the stepping stone walkway that's been circled on my plan. Yeah, they're on yours, is the one up there as well. Was that included in the calculations?
Yes, it should be. I mean, I'm not adding it up in my, right now, but if there was a mistake, then I'll correct it, but everything that's listed with the square footage on the plan, all the proposed features should be included in the added column within the impervious surfaces summary.
So the paved walkway, the two sheds, the steps, the stepping stone, you're saying they are all included, although they may not be designated as the way they appear on the plan?
Everything that you see on this plan that's considered impervious cover is included in the impervious surfaces summary. So, that would be the dwelling, the porch, the deck, existing, all the existing hardscape areas, the paver patios, the sheds, driveways, everything is included in that. Is that
And
what you're
that's-
asking?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
That's a covered porch, I guess. That's what I see in the image where it's protruding off the back of the house.
Yes.
One section of
Yeah.
it, the porch, yeah.
Yeah, the previous owner said, put that up.
Is there a percentage that would be acceptable to the board if we were to return?
What's the size of the pool? What's the dimensions of the pool?
The pool size is 446.
Yeah, but what is
It's-
the length, what is the width?
I'm forgetting, but I think it's probably 15 by
12 by.
12, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's. Okay, so,
You have to understand our position. Our position in a variance is to give the minimum amount of relief based on the hardship of the appeal. The ordinance is written by the supervisors. So and they task us with maintaining the ordinance. So if we gave everybody everything just for no reason, then we'll have an ordinance.
So
That's kind of.
I'm pretty sure this impervious zoning reg was probably written after our lot was built on. Our lot was built on in 1975.
But you're
And-
looking to do the pool now.
Exactly. I mean, things would have been, I'm sure this house would not have the front yard setback that it has.
We're here today.
What's that?
Yep.
Here today.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This zoning did not reflect our house when it was built.
Increase it beyond the existing code.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Heights is notorious for issues with flooding and stormwater management that, again, any neighbor's concern about this is fair, that they're worried saying, well, now we're gonna cover more of this property and create.
Right, but
potential
not where,
future
I
issues.
understand, but that's not where we live in the Heights. Like, we've never had any flooding where we are.
Right.
I have, and I.
Yeah, I'd actually like to get some input from,
One point of clarification, the deck calculated at 321 square feet. Right. Is that deck an open deck? I mean, are the deck boards open? Is there
Yes.
impervious surface underneath?
No.
No, there's
So
pervious.
there's pervious surface
Yes.
underneath. So we would not calculate that deck towards your impervious surface.
so they can remove the deck calculation. Is that what you're?
Yeah, the deck would help this,
300
because the deck is calculated, he calculated the deck, and we would not consider that impervious.
Out of curiosity, for natural lands, which is land conservancy in the area, media. I happen to work for natural lands, which is land preservation and conservancy. So stormwater management is very important, knowing it on a very different preserved scale. In that, there are rainwater solutions such as beds, noting that in particular my plan in this design, I know this is many steps ahead, but is to include native grasses, which have much deeper root structures and are known to help with soil pollution and soil degradation over time, and maintaining that. You wouldn't see that in this particular plans. The other thing was to offer rain barrels. Speaking is not my thing. Runoff from gutter systems and things like that to help with some of the water mitigation as well. And I have been doing some research and some other things. I think Mr. Falcone may have mentioned impervious. There are made tremendous strides in impervious pavers. Maybe that could be a solution for us if perhaps we came back with the deck part being excluded and some viable options.
I think the
That
deck is a
some-
bonus you just found, right? That we're saying remove that from the calculations, which is to your benefit here. I still think there's some other changes that you should investigate doing before any, again, decisions are made to, I mean, you may be able to find a way to keep this under and not need us.
And it's really just changing the papers and
Yeah.
the things that, I mean, you can do that. You're well versed as to what's done there. I mean, they've made great strides in making them pervious, as opposed to before they would only count the spacing in between, and that's all changed. So it's not a hard thing. I mean, you can kind of keep what you have and change the things that are impervious now to make them pervious, because you've got a lot of them. You got the walk around the pool, you got the patio, you got the deck. You have a couple different places where you can just make them. And I'm sure you have the products at hand at where you work, and you're done. You may not, like you said, you may not even have to come here.
The problem often is that permeable pavers are still considered to be impervious for zoning. So each township is different, and that's why it's not always the simplest solution.
See the
So
man
maybe-
right there, he'll answer your questions. Andy will tell you exactly what they'll do and what they want.
That's wonderful. I thank you to our neighbors for coming up to this evening. We can certainly not take up the rest of the township's time, but I'm more than happy to sit and chat and discuss
I
at
have
any
one
time.
question. Where does the storm management go?
Well, again, that they will have to go for storm management beyond this. They're gonna need stormwater management and that's,
Under down the driveway?
Well, that's the thing.
well, we're not there yet, but
Will it?
I know.
Well,
Well, that's
trying to
what
let
I
Andy
know.
talk here about that.
Yeah,
We
we'll,
will guarantee no water?
So this is another little tricky area of our code. So if you can see in the impervious surfaces summary, it includes the pool spa water surface. That is a requirement for zoning purposes. So, and that's showing a total square footage, additional square footage of 902 square feet minus the 321 we talked about on the deck. Our trigger point is 500 square feet, but for stormwater purposes, that pool surface, the water surface is excluded. So we're gonna take 446 square feet off of that. So they're gonna be less than the 500 square foot threshold that would trigger stormwater management. So if there's a consideration, the applicant's, from what I've heard, the applicant is willing to do some level of stormwater management, which would be a plus. But I
Not
don't
required.
believe it's going to be required. That is something I'd have to discuss with the township engineer, but I typically understand his thought process on that. I don't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
But that's what we've done in the past.
I would like to see a formal drainage plan. Make sure that it's not running towards my house, like.
Well, that's what they're saying. They
Okay.
may not have to do a stormwater management if it doesn't trigger that, but in
Correct.
previous cases like this, we've had people to be kind to their neighbors, say, hey, we will do stormwater management, even though it's not required to
So
appease
who
our
would be
neighbors.
responsible for if like I said, Aqua did all their work last year and 9 years I've been in the neighborhood, never had water. Last year, started getting water in my basement, started going towards my house. I had to pay $6,300 to get my whole yard graded again. So who's gonna guarantee that I'm not gonna have foundational issues with
Well,
that water?
Again, we're not at any of that point, and no
Okay.
one here is gonna guarantee anything, at least not from the board, but what we're saying to them is they have a potential here to go back and find a way to redesign this where they may not need us. And they're staying under their 40%. Again, we just chopped away 361 square feet.
Doing that, right?
Because water can go through there. Yes, it's a pervious surface. There's no roof over top of it, so water can go through there. We're looking at other parts of the property and saying, great, cut down on the size of the paver patio or some of your walkways. I mean, you have some stuff that you guys can go back and make some changes that you should seriously look into.
So is the township gonna guarantee the heights that they're not gonna have any water issues?
We
now?
may not be needed. Well, I'm
But
just saying,
if-
if they go back to
If
make the
this happens,
changes.
are we gonna get a permanent guarantee that that's not gonna happen?
We're not about.
No.
guarantees, we're about-
You know, we can't do that, right? I mean, you're saying that, but you know we're not gonna do that, right? I mean, in your heart, you say, well, I'm gonna say this, but it's not gonna work. Listen, I lived on Darby Creek for 50 years, so don't talk to me about water issues.
And I understand.
I've watched them take my shed and float it away.
Yeah, but I didn't sign up for that.
Well, I
They're
didn't
willing,
either.
they're willing to make some of the changes to where they're not gonna need us to potentially approve it. Then they just need a permit. If they make the changes, we're not,
Okay. We have to worry about
Yeah.
mosquitoes.
Sorry, one-
Andy. Tonight, if
I
we're gonna
understand.
continue it or not continue it, if the protestants have any cross-examination they would like to do on tonight's testimony, so that we don't
Yeah.
have to proceed next time. So if any of them have questions of the engineer or the applicants, let's see if we
Yeah.
can do that.
so we'll open it up for you to ask questions to the engineer or the applicants here, so.
Okay, I'd like to address the engineer.
Sure.
All right, one question is
Is
how,
your thing in green? Is that?
He's
thing in
on.
front of you in green?
He's
Okay.
good. He's just gotta speak up.
do I have to hold it?
No,
No, just.
there you go.
I just want to make sure it's on.
All right, my question, well, first, my name's Robert Atkinson. And my question is, how close is the pool to your neighbor's boundaries? And how close is it to the house?
Well, the pool at its closest to the rear property line is about 11.4 feet.
And how close by law is it allowed to be?
The pool is allowed to be 10 feet minimum from a property line.
The minimum from the house to the pool?
There isn't a minimum requirement for a pool separation from a house. So in this case, it's probably about 20 to 25 feet off of the house, off of the main portion of the house.
Okay, I heard there are two sheds. One has already been built from the last owner. Is there a new shed to be built?
So the home, the shed was built, both sheds were there when we purchased the property.
Okay.
So it's not to be built. It's already in place.
Okay. I have a question to the lady, Mrs. Schaefer. Are either of you, your husband and yourself, are you trained in first aid by any chance?
I
In
am,
case, okay, do you have an up-to-date proof
Yes.
of that?
just last month, AED certified as well.
All right, that's good. And will there be a life preserver that in the plans?
We certainly could, but we've invested in 2 years of swim lessons for both of our children. I will have life preservers on hand for all children, any guests visiting. You never know a child's swimming ability, and I
Yes.
would not want anything to occur.
Yes.
Thank you.
I thought someone mentioned that. Is there a fence to be around the pool?
Yes,
Yeah.
There will be a pool protection barrier around the pool. There's just not one shown on this plan just because it wasn't the material of the night. But during the permit process, the fence will be shown on the plan. And it will be looked at during the grading and the building permit portion of the process.
Okay, and how high is the fence to be? What, is there a minimum or a maximum?
Yeah, so the building code requires the fence to be a minimum of 4 foot in height. So they would be providing at least the minimum.
And what is the fence to be made of? Cyclone, wood, metal?
I don't believe that that's been anticipated at this point in the process.
And at what time do you think you would come up with an answer?
Tomorrow? I don't know.
Why does the material matter?
I'm just curious.
No, honestly, we
Well,
look at.
it's not-
This
We can't be
question does
answering-
come up because people don't want to see a cyclone fence, but
No,
just-
Okay,
we're just asking questions while he has the opportunity, so just let him ask.
I mean, my wife and I are both concerned with aesthetics of our property, so we're gonna put in a fence. that
Look,
will-
there's no reason
Probably-
to,
Street for 72 years.
Probably black aluminum.
And
I wanted to ask you something.
I don't want to be nasty
No.
or disrespectful.
you're
I'm
not.
just curious.
We would definitely invest in something nice. We have Rita next door. We would never impose on her property and her sightlines.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Do you already have an existing patio in the backyard?
Yes, you could.
It's included in what's up there.
That's included in the total that's allowed, the existing patio plus the additional patio?
That is,
Yes.
that was all covered. That's what we were talking about. It's next to the porch.
Okay. Are they taking any trees out?
No,
We love our trees. We even put more in.
And where is the equipment going to clean the pool?
The diagram states the pool equipment. It's currently where our children's play set is.
On the opposite side?
Small black square you see there.
Is the pool going to be heated?
Yes, it is.
How are you going to heat it?
it's a electric heat pump.
Electric heat pump?
When the pool is not in use during the winter time or summertime, is it to be covered with some type of a covering, hard cover, canvas cover?
Our winter time, it'll be covered.
They sell, canvas covers that are incredibly strong. You can walk on it. Sorry, they sell canvas covers that are incredibly strong and durable for people to be able to access. We'll be investing in one of those.
is, is the plan here that you're gonna go back and look at reducing this? Do we want,
It's up to you.
I mean, my advice to you is that you should, because you're not gonna want us to make a decision on this based on what's in front of us.
I would recommend we continue this to next month. We decide after.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for the engineer.
Yeah.
What material is the base of the pool to be made of, and the size? Is it concrete? Is it to be plastered? Or is it vinyl?
It's a concrete pool.
Okay, is it to be plastered on the inside with a smooth finish?
I believe all concrete pools are plastered on the inside with a smooth finish.
So I just have to say one thing. I spoke to someone else about this and I already feel you're out of variance. Not a variance, you're already out of max. I don't know if that, what you're saying is supposed to be removed, if that's really supposed to be that way.
That would be a board decision,
Okay.
decide whether calculated as such
When
or.
all the numbers are double checked, can we all get printouts of everything that happened tonight? Do we get,
Yeah, it's public record.
okay, all right. So what's the propane? Is it, no, it's gonna be an electric pump, not propane?
Not propane.
You
I
want,
have a
Mr.
question
Schaefer,
for
do you
the
want a
engineer.
continuance?
Yeah, we'll formally ask for a continuance at this point.
Okay.
to save
I move we grant them a continuance
Yep.
till next
Is
month.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
hopefully you can find some changes and see you, or maybe not have to see
If
you.
we find enough
Oh,
changes, we won't see you.
Yeah.
Oh. What number's 484? 432? 49? 49.
Right,
Unit.
Yeah.
next up will be,
All right, thank you.
Is this on? Okay.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, next application is Z 2025-11. Yeah, this is for care of Pohlig Homes pertaining to the subject properties 311 Stoney Knoll, 315, 338, 330, 326, 322, 318, 310. The applicant is seeking special exceptions from 172-103B. Which one? I know you were, but we had to make some adjustments based on how long some of the applications were gonna take. And I will say that if we jump to that one next, if based on previous cases, how fast will this go?
Fast, I
Mr. Mancini?
This is not your first rodeo.
This is not.
This is not.
Oh, they do? Yeah, so,
I have two
all right,
arrows.
yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Let me just make sure I know, so I'm reading this off here, seeking special exception from sections 172-103B subsection 1, 172-29A, subsections 1F and 1 and 172-103F, subsection 8 to allow for detached garages, including a second story for storage. The applicant also requests relief from many other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R1 zoning district. And who do we have here for this application?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Jennings. I'm with the law firm Unruh Turner Burke and Freeze, and I'm joined by Wayne Layton of Pohlig Homes.
All right, before we roll into that, let's make sure the file is in order.
Follows in order, you'll see a photograph of the posting of the property. In addition, we have the notice that was mailed to all property owners within 200 feet of the property boundary. And in addition to that, we have the proof of publication advertising this hearing on 2 separate occasions.
Chairman, based on the recommendation of our zoning officer, I ask that the applicant's application and accompanying documents and exhibits that might have been attached, marked as Township Exhibit number 1, a list of residents who were notified within 200 feet of the subject property, be marked as Exhibit Township Exhibit number 2, proof of publication from the Delaware County Daily Times on 2 consecutive weeks, marked as Township Exhibit number 3, and the posting of the subject property for tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
All right, they are admitted. And do we have anyone here who is a party protestant or wishes to make public comment on this application? No? All right, let's get these 2 gentlemen sworn in.
Yes, sir. My first name's Wayne, last name's Leighton, Leighton.
May I approach the board to quickly hand out the applicant's pre-marked exhibits?
Thank you.
It does appear to be a lot, but we will hopefully breeze through. Just one housekeeping item I would like to bring to the board's attention. We are advertised this evening for 2 of the 3 applications we submitted. We were under the impression that all 3 matters would be addressed this evening. I only see that 2 were advertised, being 2025-09
Yeah.
and 11. We're happy to return on the other one that we expected to be addressed tonight on May 15th. Seeing as though it appears it wasn't properly advertised, which is fine. What we did intend to do was to streamline all 3 of those applications into one hearing process, so that we're not being repetitive or duplicative with our testimony and with our evidence. This exhibit packet addresses all 3 of those applications. So we're happy to proceed as the board and its solicitor desires.
Well, let me ask you this. We have 8 under one application, correct?
Correct.
8 properties.
Correct.
Are all 8 of those similar in dimension, in height, and depth with regard to the issues?
So it's actually not a dimensional variance issue. It's a special exception issue.
No,
So they all are
Square
involving
footage
the
versus
same.
height still at issue. I'm not asking about dimension. This is an accessory.
Sure. So it's an accessory structure.
So are the issues exactly the same on all 8 of these as well as the 9th?
Yes.
All right, and nothing is, none of these are different in any aspect. Your presentation would be similar for one as in all 9?
So the first 8 involved in application number 11 are for blanket relief to allow a 2nd-story detached garage structure. Exhibit or application 09 pertains to a specific property already under agreement of sale, which has been designed. And to the extent that they are different from those other 8 properties, we were going to spend just a few more minutes on that. And we have exhibits that are specifically tailored to it.
Well, my suggestion is we deal with the 8. We have 2 applications. We're gonna have to deal with 2 applications because they're not gonna be merged if there is some differential in testimony. So why don't we deal with the 8, and then some of the areas that you've covered on the first 8 that are applicable to the other one, we can adopt some of that testimony.
Sure.
Sam, isn't this the one, where the garage is in the front or the back or?
No,
That's next. I thought that was, okay.
that's why I asked if these
Right.
issues are all related. I think next month's is somewhat different than
Correct.
this one.
That's correct.
So that's why it's not on tonight's list.
That's correct. That will be lot 5, different design, different relief sought. Tonight, we're talking about detached garages with a 2nd story, or 8 lots for application 11, 1 lot for application 9. I'm happy to run through the first one that the board chair called, that being application 2025-11. So without further ado, I just want to note, as I've already mentioned, we do not seek variance relief tonight. We are here merely seeking special exceptions for the 2-story detached garages throughout the Stoney Knoll residential development. So as this board is already aware, Special exception is a type of use and zoning relief that the supervisors have already legislatively deemed proper for the property's specified use, so long as we satisfy certain criteria contained in your zoning ordinance, which we intend to do this evening through Mr. Layton's testimony and through the evidence that I presented to you. So, Mr. Layton, could you inform the board by whom you are employed?
Yes, Pohlig Homes LLC and TWC Berwyn LLC. Stoney Knoll, well, I'll let you go through.
And TWC Berwyn LLC is the applicant and entity appearing this evening on behalf of these 8 lots. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What is your position with Pohlig Homes and the TDWC entity?
I am an owner and managing member of both.
Very good. And how long have you been with Pohlig Homes?
30 years.
And how would you describe what your occupation is or what the entity does?
Yeah, so Pohlig Homes is a residential builder developer. We specialize in building high-end custom homes. We concentrate our business primarily on the mainline market. So we are a local high-end custom home builder.
Okay, and I take it you're familiar with the applications that bring us here this evening?
Yes,
Okay. And this application in particular deals with blanket special exception application as it pertains to 8 specified lots within the Stoney Knoll residential development. Is that right?
yes.
Okay. What is Stoney Knoll for the boards?
For those of you that don't know, Stoney Knoll is a 17-lot, single-family development off of Wayland Road. It's on the south side of Wayland Road, approximately 3/4 mile west of the Route 252 White Horse Road traffic light. The 17 lots are generally, on average, close to 2 acres in size.
If we could turn to Exhibit A1, Wayne, they are 3 area maps. 2 come from Google, and the third, I think, was produced by Pohlig Homes. Is that right?
That is correct.
And do those images generally depict the location and the layout of the proposed residential subdivision?
Yes, it does.
And as you mentioned, 17 lots we're talking about?
17 lots is shown on the third plan of approximately 2 acres each.
And is there a neighboring view shed of significant size or area?
Yeah, to the, I guess it's to the west. There is a 40-acre east horse farm, which won't be developed. And to the east, I believe it is the Hunt Valley residential community.
Okay, so of those 17 residential home sites, do you know approximately how many have been sold to date?
Yes, 9 lots have closed with end users, meaning that we are no longer the owner of the lots. 1 is under agreement. 3 lots are subject to reservations and 4 lots are available for sale.
Okay, how many are currently occupied?
0 are occupied. Lot 9 is the first lot in the development that is under construction with a single-family home.
Okay, and the entirety of the development is located within the township's R1 zoning district, is that right?
Yes,
And in the R1 district, are detached private garages permitted as an accessory use?
yes, they are.
But so long as they're limited to parking and storage customarily incidental to that residential use, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and are such garages permitted to exceed 1 story and feature a garage roof that's sloped to conform to the slope of the main dwelling?
yes,
However, that is only a possibility through obtaining special exception relief, right?
that's correct.
And that's precisely what brings us here this evening.
Yes,
Okay, and that is pursuant to ordinance section 172-103B1, correct?
yes.
Okay. Could you explain why now for this Stoney Knoll development, a detached 2-story garage is something that you and your team and the purchasers of these lots are pursuing?
Yeah, when we, and Mr. Nolan, went through, the approval process, the subdivision plan specifically showed detached garages, in the illustrative layouts of each of these lots. So we always anticipated that there would be detached garages. Over the last 10 years, again, we concentrate primarily on the main line. We've probably built 30 detached garages on projects that are similar to those that are projected for Stoney Knoll. And the reason is extra storage is in high demand, and detached garages are a great spot for it, especially over the two-car garages where it's out of the way and not in the house.
Okay, and is it your understanding that a detached garage in this particular instance must support the underlying residential use?
Yes,
And it cannot be used for commercial purposes?
correct.
And it will not be used for human habitation?
No,
And would each of these applications be agreeable to a condition of approval imposed by the board whereby no commercial use could be made of the garages and no habitation could occur there?
yes,
Does ordinance section 172-29A1F1 permit accessory uses such as a detached garage being 2 stories in height on the same lot as a single-family detached dwelling?
yes,
And that's as long as the garage is not seriously detrimental to a residential neighborhood, correct?
correct.
So that said, do you have any reason whatsoever to believe that these proposed detached garages of a 2-story height would be seriously detrimental to the neighborhood?
No,
Does the zoning ordinance set forth specific criteria applicable to applications such as ours?
yes,
And that criteria is found in 172-13A 1 through 6. Is that correct?
yes.
All right, so let's address that criteria now. Do you feel as though any of these garages for any of these 8 lots would be prejudicial to the character of the immediate vicinity?
I don't, again, we showed them on the subdivision plan. Our experience at Ivy Lane at our Drossen Farm, which is just 4 miles away, on 3/4 acre lots, approximately 50% of those homes had detached garages. So certainly not out of character either for Stoney Knoll or for the immediate area.
Okay, will the garages as proposed have any detrimental effect on neighboring properties?
No, again, our buyers purchased, fully aware of the subdivision plan showing the detached garages.
So even those 4 lots that remain for sale at this point in time would have an awareness as to the existence of many of these lots, if not all of them, featuring 2-story detached garages, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Do you feel as though the garages would be appropriate and suitable for the properties in question?
Yeah, you will see in one of the exhibits, that's in the pack. We take, great pride in having the architect, design the detached garages to be compatible with the primary residence.
So they'll be in harmony with and appropriate with the appearance and the intended character of the development
For sure.
and match as closely to the detached dwelling as possible?
Yes,
Will the garages be constructed, operated, and maintained in a harmonious nature?
yeah. We have a lot of experience with these. The way they are built, is the way they are typically used 10 years down the road. So, being used for storage is what I would fully expect, for all of these detached garages.
And one of the criteria for within the ordinance speaks of water, sewage, stormwater drainage, fire, and police protection being provided for the use as necessary and as applicable. Do you understand that?
Yes, and again, the site was designed, approved, and reviewed by the fire marshal through the subdivision process, showing detached garages as an accessory.
Okay. Will the garages be physically suitable for each site?
Yes,
Are there any features or constraints of the properties which would cause the garages to adversely affect the health, safety, morals, or welfare of neighboring property or of Newtown Township?
No,
Are the garages consistent with the community development objectives of the township planning study as amended, including the revised comprehensive plan?
I believe that they are.
And in fact, these types of accessory structures are almost expected in today's market on lots of this size, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so there's additional criteria, unfortunately, found at section 172, 13, C1 through C12. Are you likewise familiar with that criteria?
Yes,
Okay, so let's address that now. Will these garages substantially increase traffic congestion on streets?
no, these garages are a permitted use, and the relief we're seeking is primarily of an architectural nature, not a size nature.
Will they increase the danger of fire or panic or otherwise endanger public safety?
No,
Will they overcrowd the land or create undue congestion of population?
no,
Impair stormwater management or cause soil erosion?
no,
Impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property?
yes. As a matter of fact, the detached garages presented here are within the building envelope, and as accessory structures, they could go outside the building envelope. But in this case, no,
Okay. Will the garages be consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood?
yes,
Will they be detrimental to other properties in the area?
no,
Affect the character of the immediate neighborhood?
no.
Not to cut you off, you guys are building the neighborhood, so I just want to try to speed things along here with things that can
Absolutely,
get,
yes.
we get it.
You're just covering everything in the.
Yeah, I know, and I know the
get it.
things you have to get on the record, but we have somebody that's got to get to Washington. So,
He's got to make a record.
no, I know, but the questions that are coming up about the neighborhood, like, and things that I know we can kind of cut to the chase on, I know a record
You
needs
have
to
to
be made.
let council make his record.
All right,
I'm just a few more questions.
go nuts.
Will the garages adversely affect the community development objectives of the township's zoning ordinance?
No,
Affect off-street parking?
no,
Burden water, sewer, groundwater, schools, parks, or other public facilities?
no.
All right, so to the board's delight, we can actually skip from exhibit 1 to exhibit 11 at this point. Ten entail, actually, we'll skip to exhibit 10. 2 through 9 entail the other applications. So at exhibit A10, there are 8 lots for which we seek blanket special exception relief, correct?
Yes,
And those lots, and I'm going to read the numbers now and ask you to agree. They entail lots 1, 2, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17, correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And those lots vary in area from as low as 1.72 acres to as high as 2.29 acres, correct?
Yes,
And is exhibit A11 the recorded deeds for each of those 8 lots for which we seek relief here?
yes,
Okay, let's turn to A12. A12 is comprised of 2 sheets, C1, 2, and C1, 2, 3, correct?
yes,
And those are Stan Tech plan sheets depicting various lots, right?
yes.
Could you generally describe these lots for the benefit of the board?
Yeah, these lots are as shown on the approved subdivision plan. They show illustrative properties, houses with detached garages and pools. And they specifically identified the lots that are subject to our requested blanket relief.
All right, let's turn to our final exhibit, number 13 now. All right, so there are 3 pages there that depict various detached garages with storage above. Could you describe how these garages are depicted and what they signify?
Yeah, so again, in the hopes of trying to save the board a lot of mental anxiety moving forward, we have 17 lots at Stoney Knoll. We fully expect that at least 50 to 60% of those lots are going to need detached garages. What we're asking for in the blanket relief is, instead of having to come here for every single lot, that the board approve the ability to allow perhaps the zoning officer to determine whether the lots are architecturally compatible to the existing, or I'm sorry, to the proposed house that's being developed. What we have here in this exhibit is an example of 2 of the lots at Stoney Knoll that are in for permits right now, showing the garages that are compatible with those existing dwellings. The other homes that are shown here are actually built detached garages at our Dawson Farm project, again, 4 miles away in Radnor Township. And again, our hope is to present this exhibit as a palette of what we believe are compatible garages to homes that are proposed here at Stoney Knoll. Again, all of the homes that are at our Dawson have been built, and the detached garage is built as shown on this plan. So again, requesting blanket relief for those 8 lots to allow the zoning officer to determine whether the detached garage, if one is submitted on those 8 lots, is compatible with the architecture of the primary residence and is located in a spot that detached garages are permitted to be located within the township ordinance. The 8 lots that are subject to the blanket ordinance are currently owned by the Nolan property. TDWC is the equitable owner. We are the developer. Pohlig Homes will be the builder, but none of those lots have been designed yet. And again, we're just trying to prevent you from having to look at lot after lot after lot, and perhaps push it down to the zoning officer to the extent that he's willing to accept that responsibility. And if he doesn't feel comfortable that it is close enough, we can push it up here. But again, trying to circumvent and not kill a lot of brain cells with you guys coming here every month.
Wayne, are you aware of any opposition whatsoever to these applications?
I am not aware of any opposition.
Okay. And lastly, as it pertains to these 8 lots, if approved, when would you expect construction to begin on the dwellings and on the detached garages?
So again, this is a tough one. None of the lots are in design yet. A couple are sold, a couple are reserved. We fully intend to be in this subdivision for 4 years. I know that the board likely can't give a blanket relief for 4 years, but we are looking for an extended period of time to allow those people to come in, design their homes, and get it into the township. But each home takes approximately 6 months to design, probably another month to go through the permitting. So if someone were to start today on any of those 8 lots, we'd already be 7 to 8 months into it. No one is at a point right now where they have started designing their home.
No one as it pertains to these 8 lots?
Correct.
Okay. So just to wrap up here, what Wayne has referenced is ordinance section 172-16, which speaks of expiration of special exceptions and variances. Residential approvals, as your solicitor will advise, are valid for a period of 6 months. They may be, an extension may be granted by the board for an additional 6-month period. Knowing what we know now and without having to come back month after month or every few months, we would respectfully request for the board to consider a longer expiration period associated with this Stoney Knoll residential community. The testimony is not expected to change. We were very general at first and specific as it pertains to these 8 lots, as will be for the other lots that we'll address here shortly. So I don't think that a 6-month period is reasonable, given the circumstances at play. We would respectfully request any and all discretion that the board has and a duration of potentially years as opposed to months. So we would make that request and ask the board to act on that accordingly. But otherwise, at this point in time, barring any questions from the board members, that does conclude my questions for my witness. I would look to move into the hearing record, pre-marked exhibits A1 and then A10 through A13.
They are admitted.
Thank you.
Andy, or any concerns from your side of things in doing something like this in terms of a blanket approval for?
Well, let me address it first, because I think we have, I have a legal problem with 172-16 or to the extension. Maximum under our ordinance is we can go 18 months out. Because the last line of the 172-16 provides that if the board determines that an additional extension should be granted, it may do so for an additional period of 6 months only. So I don't know that we have the ability to extend all the way out to the time frame that's requested.
Is that something they would have to come back when that expires
I'm afraid
to
it does.
request?
I just don't know that we can alter what the ordinance says. This is not a variance.
So I could potentially move to amend the application here this evening to seek a variance from section 172-16A, which is that 6-month limitation period beyond the extension period. I don't know if the board has an appetite for that. I think we've made a good justification in the interest of judicial economy so as to not waste everyone's time and the board's energies and efforts. If the circumstances were to change, we would most definitely make the township aware. We would reappear. If any of the testimony, any of the evidence presented here this evening resulted in a changed circumstance that might affect or move the needle, so to speak, we would be happy to alert the township and to reappear here publicly. But in the interest of judicial economy, I think that it makes perfect sense to grant not only the special exception request, but potentially a variance from 172-16A. I don't think that your ordinance legislatively contemplates a scenario quite like this. And I think that we've provided adequate justification for that here this evening.
I appreciate the application. The problem is that we haven't not advertised for a variance request. So we haven't given due notice for that application. So I don't know that we're in a position to entertain that tonight.
To that, I would say in the absence of any opposition, the applicant runs the risk there. There are no party protestants to this proceeding, so the world was put on notice of this application as it pertains to the garages. The relief stems from the garages, so extending the time frame regarding the garages really isn't a risk whatsoever. But to the extent you deem that it is, we would bear that risk, and we could certainly, pursuant to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, publish the board's order, which would then put the world on notice and cover the costs for such a publication.
Well, I'm not sure that this board is going to be comfortable with that, because if we re-advertise and it's a variance as opposed to a special exception, obviously the burden is higher. And that may lead to someone coming in, may not. Maybe somebody wasn't available, didn't see the notification, but I'm not comfortable just waiving that advertising requirement going forward. I understand the effort, and maybe the board would consider it, but I think on a legal basis, I don't know that it's appropriate tonight.
Understood. I tend to just disagree in that regard, in that we would bear the risk of that. We would cover the costs for the post-decisional advertisement. It's not necessarily a concern then at that point of the township or of this zoning hearing board, but I respect your position.
Sam, I don't see that on the sheet at all, 16. Is that something that was
Seen, A.
where?
No, so the board members,
172-16.
board,
I'm reading from the code.
No, I'm looking for the sheet that was advertised. We didn't advertise 16 at all, even a special exception.
Well, I don't look at the advertising.
Wasn't that kind of what you're saying, is it's not advertised?
Well, wasn't advertised, they asked for a special exception, that, we advertised special exception.
Yeah, but he didn't even, it wasn't even advertised as a special exception, right?
I assume it was.
No, it's not on a sheet.
Seeking a special exception.
Yes, it is. I'm seeing special exception, but
He's saying he doesn't see 172-16.
I don't see 172-16 on the sheets. For
You're
either,
saying-
either, oh, not,
Sam is
You're
saying.
saying special.
oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I thought he was talking about variance.
It's true, it's not in the advertising, but I saw it in the application. But it wasn't advertised as request. The advertising.
So we couldn't do it even at that, right? I mean,
I
we
didn't-
could, we could
I-
give
I
them a
didn't-
special
I didn't
exception
notice
and
the
take them out 1 year.
But the issue is the same.
Yeah, but at least we could give him the special exception. That would give him 1 year before he'd have to come back if he needed an extension at that point.
Well, I would go as far as give 18 months, because you have the authority to do that.
But that would be a variance at that point.
No, because the ordinance allows you.
One
Six,
time,
six,
oh,
six.
2 sixes, but no more than
So,
2 sixes.
The approval is valid for a period of 6 months. Applicant may obtain a 6-month extension by requesting such extension from the zoning hearing board in writing. And goes further, a residential extension may be granted by the board for an additional 6 months. Subsequently, any additional request for an extension must be justified by the applicant, specifically as it relates to any changed circumstances that might affect the health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding.
I see that. The only thing I was questioning is 16 was never ever advertised from the beginning.
As far as I can tell from the advertising I have in front of me, that's correct.
So even, I'm just curious, if we were to do this at 18 months with this version of approval, they make it there, he's referencing a 4-year run to get this done. 18 months comes and goes. Does he then have to file for an extension of that, or are we maxed out at 18 months?
Well, frankly, I think the way that's written, because it says only, he'd have to come in and make an application for variance at that point. I think that, I don't necessarily, am not affronted by the fact that there's no advertising on section 16, because the rule is that any applicant that's granted permission has to get building permits within 6 months regardless of whether you give him permission or not. That's what the code says. So he would have the opportunity to get 6 months if you approve the plan tonight, regardless of what happens. Then when he needs more time, he writes a letter to us, like many do, and request another extension, which we grant. And then the third opportunity would be if there's no change in circumstances that would affect safe health, welfare, and safety, then he gets a third. That's the way I read it.
Yep,
We
I
would-
think that's correct.
we would gladly accept the 18 months. There's the potential that of these 8 lots, several homes are designed and apply for building permits. Narrowing the 8 lots down to perhaps 2 or 3, and we would be happy to reappear at some future point to the extent deemed necessary, and in an abbreviated fashion, incorporate the record from tonight's proceeding, indicate through witness testimony that there are no changed circumstances, of course, if that's in fact the case, and request an additional period of time in order to account for those additional lots.
We're going to approve some phase of the special exception. I wouldn't be troubled by granting extension of the 18 months. Just my opinion.
Okay.
But I just a quick question, just dimensionally, what are the dimensions for each of these 8 proposed? I want to have a basis for which, if there's a change of circumstances, I'd want to know what our base is tonight versus what change circumstances may be.
In terms of the dimensions of the
Dimensions for the
detached
garage.
garages?
Yes.
Yeah, so the detached garages are gonna be around 500 to 600 square feet, which is gonna be 22 by 25 feet. And they won't be any higher than 20, height wise, probably 27, 28 feet. So they're very de minimis in terms of scale.
What's the height of the home itself? 27.
They go to the maximum, which is 35, I think.
The limit by code is 7.
Right, but that's for one. And you indicated that there would be, is that the square footage you just recited, is that one floor or for both floors?
That would be the footprint of the detached garage. So it would be the garage floor, and then you'd have something likely slightly less or about the same on the second floor for storage.
Do you agree that the square footage of the 2 floors would be less than 1,000 square feet?
No, probably closer to 11 to 1,300 square feet.
And that's your base for all 8 of these
Yes.
proposed?
Yes.
Anything that would go beyond that scope, you're suggesting you'd have to come back.
For dimensional variance relief.
Dimensional
Yeah.
variance.
Yes, sir.
Always like your input, Andy. What do you got? Anything? Any input to add or concerns,
No.
questions?
In regard to architecture,
All right.
size of second story special exception.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna make a motion. Listen closely.
Closely.
Because I'm not sure I understand it, but. With regard to application 2511. The applicant TDWC Berwyn LLC. Is granted special exceptions from 172 sections 172-103B1. Section 172-29A1F1 and 172-103F8 to allow for detached garages, including a second story for storage. And this is the part I want your guidance on. It's the motion also includes authorizing the zoning officer to be given blanket relief to allow him to determine whether the relief for the garages and the detached garages are architecturally proper and compatible and with proper location within the development, within the lot. I got you looking puzzled.
Well, only because I think the board can adopt the baseline that was presented by the applicant on the garages. That they be no more than 1,200 square feet and be no higher than 20.
Well, did he say 1,300 though?
1,300.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
You guys
the
got
base
nervous
is,
there. You're about to lose 100 square feet.
So we have a baseline you can approve. And the understanding is that if they vary from the baseline, then they would have to come back in.
Understood.
So the burden's not on the zoning officer. You're making a decision that that's acceptable guideline. If you like, you want to talk about it in an executive session, we can do that.
No, I think his testimony is at the baseline. Isn't that, that's what we're saying, right? His testimony is the baseline that, the garages are gonna be X
If
and
I
X,
understand
Y, and
that
Z, and if he
request-
varies from X, Y, and Z from his testimony, then he needs to come to the zoning officer and get relief.
That's what I understood. Now get
I think
clarity.
that's what he's saying, but you said it better.
I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with the applicant, because we're looking to approve this. And my understanding is we have a baseline, that if you don't deviate from the baseline, then the zoning officer is going to approve it. If you come in with a change in the dimensions, then you have to come back.
What's that?
What?
Yes.
Or any one of them. I
Understood.
mean, you can't change any of the ones we okay tonight.
Yeah, max height 28.
Okay, so understood and agreed. Baseline established would be no greater than 1,300 square feet. Maximum height no greater than 28 feet.
And
Otherwise, we
also-
would
and
require
also
dimension.
Cannot be,
And
the second
conform
floor
with the-
cannot, the second floor is unfinished except for storage.
That's correct.
And no habitation, whether it be human or animals,
Correct.
Storage only.
No.
commercial use or residential use.
Kind of thing, and the roof line will conform with the house.
Yes,
Roof line as per the ordinance.
consistent with all of Mr. Layton's testimony that we painstakingly ran through, yes.
How about 17216? Do we want to deal anything with that? Should we give them their 18
Yes,
months?
I'll include that. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, we include that in all
Okay.
our proof. So
Okay.
I'll
We're
deviate
giving them
from what we
18
normally
months
do. I'll extend it to
coming out of
18
blocks.
months If the motion includes an 18-month.
Yes, I think so.
Correct.
Are they allowed to keep anything in the garage at all? There's a lot of rules.
So we're
If it was,
adding,
no.
Michael, to the three code to add.
Oh, no cars, horses.
Yes.
He is.
And
You understand that, Charles? You with us?
I'm sorry,
Ignore him.
ignore him, okay.
Are you with us?
Yes.
You heard what he said.
28.
We got 28 feet. We got
13
Yes,
square.
yes. Yes, we talked about that, yes.
So we have a motion, we need a second.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Luck, we'll see you in 18 months.
Have, you have that, yeah. 19, right?
Oh,
Do we have to do Maloney? And we
So
have to
they
wait
have
for
the
Maloney.
the other Stoney.
Guys, we do have the Maloney one, which is a specific one. We don't own that lot. It's the
Are you
same
do- are you
exact
doing it?
testimony.
For
Yes,
her?
tonight, it's
Okay.
an advertised hearing. It would take
Yeah,
us.
oh,
5
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, I know what you mean.
it's the same,
just
you
make
just
a
don't own the
record.
lot, but it's the
Right.
same.
It's the specific
Are you gonna ask-
garage.
are you gonna
the
ask all the same
specific
questions?
Location, and we're looking for approval for that
Gotta
garage.
Incorporate the record that we
Yeah.
just established. It's gonna
Okay.
take 5 minutes.
Are the owners here?
We're representing. the
Okay.
owners.
You have.
Do you have a
some
letter to that
authorization?
effect?
I'm gonna add. we don't-
Yes, they signed the application allowing us to represent them.
All right, so let me then, so application Z 2025-09. Robert K. and Susan Maloney of 1035 South Wisteria Drive in Malvern, pertaining to subject property at 314 Stoney Knoll Lane. The applicant is seeking special exception relief from sections 172-103B1, 172-29A, 1F1, and 172-103F8 to allow for detached garage, including a second story for storage. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. The subject premise is located in the R1 district. And is there anybody here who wishes to make public comment on this application? Public comment or party protestant?
Comment.
Or this is for this property we're discussing now? Okay.
Lot 16.
No, lot 16. 16. No,
Was 9 covered in our last?
no,
Okay.
That's next time.
Next month.
no, that's not even, that.
So that
9 is
might-
under construction.
Getting a shed.
What?
What?
lot number 9 does not have a detached garage. They may get one in the future, but it's not part of the plan. I mean, they reserve the right to have one, but we are not building one.
But not part of,
Overwhelming, and if they said next to it,
There are,
very ugly from our.
well, let's not get away
We
from
got
what
an
we're here for,
application.
so,
Not-
right, so not related, it's not related to this application. So no one for part of the testing or public comment, and is the file in order?
Files in order, photograph on the screen will show that the property was posted. There are also in the file a list of addresses for all property owners within 200 feet of the boundary who received notice of tonight's hearing, as well as proof of publication that this hearing was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
All right,
And based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the applicant's application accompanying documents be marked as Township Exhibit number 1. Notice extended to residents within 200 feet of the subject property, marked as Exhibit Township number 2. The proofs of publication in the Delaware County Daily Times on 2 consecutive occasions, marked as Township Exhibit number 3. And the picture of the posting for tonight's hearing on the subject property be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
all right, they are admitted. And I guess we don't have to swear them in again. All right,
All right, Mr. Layton, I'll remind you that you remain under oath. Understood?
yes,
Okay. Pre-marked exhibits have already been provided to the board. To the extent deemed applicable, we would move now to incorporate the record from the prior hearing, being zoning application 2025-11 into this 2025-09 proceeding. Is that acceptable to the board?
That's acceptable.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Layton, would all of your testimony, as applicable from the last hearing, which we've just incorporated, stand true for purposes of this zoning application as it specifically pertains to lot 16 of the same Stoney Knoll development?
yes,
Okay. Let's turn now specifically to Exhibit A6. We will be working on Exhibits A6 through A9. Who owns lot 16?
the Maloneys own lot 16, Robert and Susan Maloney,
Okay, and is that signified through the deed marked as Exhibit A7?
yes,
And is the property address for lot 16, 314 Stoney Knoll Lane?
yes,
Is this currently a vacant lot?
yes,
Is construction underway?
no.
Is the design completed?
The design is completed and ready for submission.
Okay, let's turn to A8. A8 are plan sheets, specifically sheets SP1 and SP2, correct?
Yes,
And they were produced by Mark Stanish Architects LLC,
yes,
and they specifically pertain to lot 16,
Yes.
correct? Could you generally describe this particular lot for the benefit of the board?
lots, this particular, both of these plans show lot 16, the outbound of the lot 16. It shows the main residence location as well as the detached garage. In particular, it shows the detached garage within the building envelope and outside of the front yard, which are both requirements for detached garages.
And as it pertains to this application, 2025-09, no additional zoning relief is necessary, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we just seek the same special exception that application 11 sought, right?
Yes,
Okay, let's turn lastly now to Exhibit A9. There are 3 plan sheets, A5, A8, and a second A8, correct?
yes.
Could you explain for the board what these plans depict, highlighting whatever features you deem relevant?
Yes, the first picture shows the front elevation of the house as proposed and the detached garage.
Which will be shorter in height than the dwelling, correct?
Correct. The second page shows the detached garage floor plan. It's a 22 by 22.5 foot garage, 495 square feet. It's large enough to accommodate 2 cars. It shows a set of steps leading up to the second story, which will be used for unfinished storage.
And the third sheet depicts what?
The third sheet depicts all 4 elevations of the detached garage. And just real quickly, since this is really an architectural issue, just wanted to point out that it's got compatible roof slopes with the main dwelling. It's got a pigeon ledge, which is a cool little detail on the garage. It's got some curved roofs at the eave that match the main house. It's got horizontal siding matching this main house, a shed dormer. You'll see architectural bracketing at the front elevation matching the main house, and carriage type doors. The height of this particular detached garage is 25.5.
Thank you. Concentrating solely on lot 16, do you find it suitably sized to accommodate the proposed detached garage?
Yes,
Are you aware of any opposition whatsoever to the application as it pertains to lot 16?
no,
Conversely, do you strongly suspect that all neighbors are supportive of the proposed 2-story garage for lot 16?
yes.
And how do you reach that conclusion?
All of the neighbors anticipate that detached garages are going in. They know our work and know that the detached garages that we designed for the neighbors are going to be compatible with the main houses that we design on each of those lots.
And will the garage for lot 16 have any adverse impact on the essential character of the community or the R1 zoning district?
No.
And lastly, as it pertains to lot 16, if approved by the board, when would you expect construction to begin on this particular dwelling and detached garage?
I would hope that it starts in early summer.
2025.
Yes,
Okay, so no extension based relief would be necessary for lot 16.
no.
Very good. I have no additional questions for my witness. I would move for the admission of exhibits A1 and A6 through A9.
They are admitted.
Is that 5 minutes?
Not bad.
Can I ask, what is the distinction, if any, between the garage application for lot 16 versus the 8 prior approved?
So the distinction is that for all of the lots that have been sold and transferred to end users, the application, the owner of the lot is different than the ownership of the 8 lots that we're requesting the blanket relief on. So each of the lots that are sold and transferred, we would expect that we have to come in and present the same.
On this one, but dimensionally, you said this one is 25.5 feet in
Yes.
height. Is this also 1,300 square feet?
Oh, yeah, this one is about 900 square feet between the 2 floors.
So the baseline for the ones we did on a prior application are higher and obviously
Just
larger.
giving us a little more
So-
elbow room.
Are you suggesting to me that this particular garage will be the dimensions you just cited, 25.5 on the height, 900 square feet in total square footage?
That's correct. This plan's designed already and ready for submissions to the township.
So it's just a 2-story issue.
Yes, 2-story issue.
As depicted in A9, yes.
Gotcha. Okay,
And-
and you don't need the extension, you'll
No.
have permits within the next 6 months.
No.
And Mr. Layton, the Maloneys know that you're here this evening
Yes,
and you're authorized to testify and pursue this relief on their behalves?
yes.
Very good.
Like to make a motion with regard to application 2025-09, the applicant Robert K. and Susan Maloney being represented today by TDWC Berwyn LLC. And that the motion grants the special exceptions from section 172-103B1, 172-29A1F1, and 172-103F8 to allow for a detached garage, including a second story for storage, as set forth in the Mark Stanish architectural plans, SP1 and SP2, dated February 4th, 2025, as well as the Plan A-8, 2 pages, same date.
Nice. There a second?
With conditions?
With
as suggested in the prior.
yes.
At the baseline.
Well,
Well,
they're
it's a different
pursuant to
baseline.
the architectural plan.
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Ryan, you have a card? Let me check.
Right. Next up is application.
Thank you, Dennis.
That'd be great if that were it, if that was it. Application Z 2025-10 Rockhill Real Estate. This is pertaining to subject property at 4003 West Chester Pike. The applicant is seeking both special exception and variance relief from sections 172-20, 172-134, 172-117A2, 172-117A3, 172-117D2, 172-132F1 and 3 to allow for a classic car dealership building on the property. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the C1 zoning district.
All right,
Well, let's just make sure we have your file in order.
sure.
Yes, files in order. On the overhead screen, you'll see that the property was posted. We also have a list of mailing of addresses within 200 feet of the property boundary who received notice of tonight's hearing. In addition, we have proof of publication that showing that tonight's hearing was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
All right,
Chairman, based on the recommendations of our zoning officer, and for the record, I ask that the application of the applicant and accompanying evidence material be marked as Township Exhibit number 1, that the list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property who were provided notice of tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 2. Proofs of publication from the Delaware County Daily Times on 2 separate occasions be marked as Township Exhibit number 3. The posting of the property for this evening's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
All right. They are admitted. And Mr. Mancini, do we want to get your
Yes.
client sworn in too? Is he going to be providing any testimony? We'll just get him sworn in.
Yes, please. I'd like to hand
Come on
out.
up. Yep. How you been, Vince? Vince, how you been?
Sure.
Anybody here who will be making public comment or party for testing?
Oh, what's that?
Are you making public comment on this application? Okay, all right, we'll get to you.
Okay.
And no party protestants. So let's get your client sworn in here.
Yes. Robert D. Stanislaw, Robert, last name D.I., capital Stanislao.
One item of bookkeeping, or housekeeping rather. We did file the numerous variances from, I believe, 172-117D and one in particular was D2. That's the one that requires 3 acres for a dealership. It also required, I believe, 175 foot of frontage, both of which we covered. But there was a third item in there that said it requires 200-foot depth of lot. And that was not covered. I would like to amend the application for the variance to include 172-117 D2 relating to the 200-foot depth of lot requirement. And
I think you can accept it because we did advertise for section 172-117D2.
Okay, then,
That would be inclusive.
all right, we'll accept that.
Again, if it may please the board, the application tonight is one for special exception under, I believe it's 170, 172, 70 dash, or 70L. And that, the special exception then kicks you into the motor vehicle sales agency requirements specifically for motor vehicle sales agencies. And that's where we get the discrepancies in lot sizes from 6,000 square foot for the C1 commercial to 3 acres. But the application tonight is rather unique, and it's unlike any application for an agency, a sales agency that you've heard before. And none of those provisions really are necessary or are relevant to this particular provision, particular application. The main reason for this is that that corner property has some troublesome features to it. It borders both on Boot Road and on Route 3. Current access is less than desirable. You have right out on 2 access points on Route 3 that's right in, right out. And you have one on Boot Road, which is has been a part of the packet as Exhibit 6. You have a very wide current access point, which is numbered 4, and you also have another access point, which is number 3. And then on the Boot Road, you only have, you have one access point right on the curve here, and that's a full turning action curb cut and access. What we propose to do for the proposed classic car building, which we'll get into later, is to provide one access that's in and out on further in on Boot Road, which the sole function of that access point is to really deliver cars on the second floor showroom or the first floor showroom, because that's elevated. And that's it. And the type of agency that we are proposing this time around is tailored for this site. We fully recognize that traffic and access are the 2 critical issues here. And frankly, we came up with a sales agency that has got the lowest trip generation, I think, of any C1 permitted general commercial uses, whether by right, by special exception, or what have you. And that is the classic car franchise. And Mr. DeStanislaw is going to get into what that classic car franchise is all about. But suffice it to say, you're only going to have a maximum of 8 cars of inventory, which are going to be stored on that first floor, which sits on columns. And the first floor is pretty much, or the ground floor is pretty much open air. That's primarily for drives and parking spaces and a little photo booth of about 1,400 square feet. And the rest sits on columns. And the second floor is about 3,700 square feet. And the third floor, I believe, is about 2,400 or 2,200 square feet. It's cut back substantially, and basically it looks down onto the on the showroom, and you can also see that by looking at the rendering, which the big one's over there, but even that is too far away. So if you look at Exhibit 4, you can see the floor of the way the building is split up. But the beauty of this facility is that it doesn't require the acreage of the Porsche dealership where we have 4 acres. Doesn't even require the storage of the Ferrari dealership, where it's about 3.6 acres. And it basically only needs those 8 cars. The reason for that is that these are classic cars, and as Mr. DeStanislaw corrected me, that's not a used car. It's something more than that. And that these cars are going to be between $300,000 to $25 million. So volume is not a factor here. Quality and making an occasional sale is a factor. That in turn means very low traffic. Only need 2 employees there, and we don't anticipate more than 1 or 2 customers, 2 to 3 customers, maybe a week, and even those are by reservation or invitation. It's not open to the general public. So we're looking at something like 10 total trip generations per day, as opposed to what was there before, like the pizza shop and the floor shop, which our engineer tells us would have generated about 200 trips a day. There is literally nothing in your C1 permitted uses that can match this trip generation aspect. So with those preliminary comments aside, I can get into Mr. DeStanislaw's testimony, and we can get through this as quickly as possible.
That's for you.
Oh, okay. That's
Oh,
fine.
I am that again?
Yeah.
Yes,
Two times.
2 times, so I'm really double indemnity. Yeah, you swear me in, yeah, it's been a long night. It's okay. We're banking points.
Okay, Mr. Stanislaw, you are the principal and owner of all the parcels and dealerships in the Porsche dealership Ferrari complex. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, I show you, go to Exhibit 1, if you would. And that's basically, I think it's labeled affiliated parcels and dealerships. Does that, and that exhibit also lists the parcels and the dealerships that and uses that are resting on those parcels, correct?
Yes.
And the second sheet is more specific and gives all the details of the general partnerships, the business entities and the dealerships, et cetera.
Yes.
And again, you are the sole principal and interest of both dealerships and parcels.
Yes, all the real estate and dealerships, yes.
Okay, and so we're okay with addressing them as affiliated parcels and dealerships.
Correct.
All right, now, Exhibit 2, not to delay the obvious. This is the application for special exception and variances that has been filed, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, let's get to what is there now. And I turn your attention to photographs which have been marked 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D. Could you tell me the views of what is currently there and the condition of that, of what's there?
Well, formerly it was a shop where you would buy pizza dough and a flower shop.
Now, before we get into that, do these photographs accurately depict what
The
is currently?
beauty, yes,
All right, go to it.
yes, so they can see
Yeah.
what is
Well-
there.
Well, they can see what you're looking at too, because they have copies of that.
Excellent.
All right, so you can go through 2A. What does 2A say or show?
It shows the vacant pizza shop and floral shop.
And it's a view from across the.
It's a view from Route 3.
All right. Now, 2B is what, the western side?
Yeah, that would be you proceeding east, so that you would see what it looks like.
Okay,
And
And-
2C would be as you're exiting Boot Road onto West Chester Pike. And 2D would be the Boot Road view.
okay. And how would you describe the condition of those?
Dilapidated and in disrepair and not habitable.
Okay. And what is your intent with all of these improvements?
To build a classic car showroom.
So your intent is to demolish all this stuff?
Yes, as soon as we get the proper approvals.
And how quickly can you start? Well, you're gonna.
That's up to these gentlemen.
Right, and you're ultimately gonna have to go with land development. right?
Yes,
Now, if you please take a look at Exhibit 3,
yes,
is that the deed to your property? Or this property, anyway?
yes, this property, yes,
And it was acquired on January 17th, 2023, correct?
yes, that is correct.
Now, please take a look at Exhibit 4.
Yes,
Is that what is being proposed?
that is what we're proposing to build, yes.
Okay, now that's a two-story building, right?
Yes, it's elevated, it has 3 levels. So it has a ground level and a showroom level and an
All right.
office space on the 3rd level.
So the ground level is basically open air.
Open air, closed area for what will be a photo booth.
That's the only part and that's about 1,400 square feet.
And also what would be enclosed would be the elevator and stair.
I got you. And then the first floor would be the floor, the large floor,
Right,
which is about 3,700 square feet.
that's correct.
And the second floor, as I see it there, is like
Principally office space and a lounge.
okay, and that's like 3/4 of a floor, right?
Correct.
About 2,200, 2,300 square feet.
Yes,
All right, and that looks down onto the showroom.
yes,
And this building has been architecturally designed by KD2 Architects,
yes.
the same people that designed the Porsche building.
And the renovation of the Ferrari building as well, yes.
Excellent architects, I take it.
I would say, yes. Very creative.
Yeah. And now, sir, take a look at Exhibit 5.
Yes,
Are these architectural floor plans of the ground floor?
yes, this depicts the proposed views of
Yeah.
ground floor, showroom floor, and office floor.
Okay, and again, the Exhibit 5810 depicts the columns that support the second floor, and those are the square little things.
Yes.
That are sort of dotted in,
Yes,
and let's see, and of course, the through traffic. And as I said, the first floor is about 1,400 square, or ground floor, the only enclosure or building structure, apart from the columns, is about 1,400 square feet.
correct. The stairway in the
Right,
photos.
and the second floor is about 3,700 square
Right.
feet, and the first floor is about 3,700 square feet, and the second floor is about 2,300 square
Right.
feet. Not a big building,
No,
okay? Compared to the other ones, but you have a special attachment to this project,
yes,
and I mean, you almost ripped my head off the last time we spoke, and I said, are these used cars?
yes, they're very, They're classic cars and they're very valuable. So this becomes more of a museum, as much a museum as it is a sales facility.
And would these vehicles be for sale to the general public or?
They're typically by appointment only because as you mentioned in your initial statement, the price point of these cars are rather
All right.
extreme. So by way, the genesis of this is in Westchester, we own the only McLaren F1 service center for all of the Americas. This is a McLaren F1. They were built in 1993 and 1994. There's 33 of them that exist in the United States of America. We have the exclusive rights to service all of them. They can only be serviced with us. This is an example of the car. It's worth between 23 and $28 million. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have that car on display. So one of the reasons why it's elevated is it has to be free from any interlopers. Security has to be very important here. So the visual is important that it's at Boot Road and Route 3. It's going to be well illuminated. It's going to be really, when you turn that corner, you will see it. All right. And that's important for the campus. So when Vince asked if this is important to me, it is, because this becomes the flagship for the campus. So you see this first as you're heading west on Route 3 and you're at the curve, it's elevated. You'll see it. The cars it'll be well illuminated, as I said, and you'll see the cars as you go there. Hopefully it doesn't cause too many accidents. So they'll have very nice classic cars there, but there'll also be occasional Sunbeam Tiger and TR6 in there too, but principally there'll be very rare collectible cars in there.
And as you indicated, the range would be between 300 and 25 million, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and the photos, the little booklet I just handed up are just samples of some of these types of
Yes.
cars?
So we have booklets that you give them to your.
Yes.
Okay, good. So there just would be examples, of course.
Where do these cars come? I mean, your Porsches and Ferraris come from a dealership, right?
Yes.
Where do these cars come from?
These cars are found all over the world, so it's not uncommon for these cars to come from overseas, from Europe, even from Asia. So it's a very close-knit network, and we were the purveyor of such cars and have been for some months.
Are these cars purchased by Classic Car, or are they
Some
on
are
consignment?
inventory and some are on consignment. Which makes them doubly insured.
What is the maximum weekly customer visits?
So they'd be by appointment, and we would project that we'd have one appointment a day at max, but realistically, maybe 3 appointments a week.
All right.
Now, there would be some special visits for schools or whatnot we arrange. So, special events,
Okay, now the total employees for the
but
Classic.
not for lawyers. You guys can't afford it.
That's all right. Can't afford it anyway.
Was just gonna sign up.
I'll break my piggy bank.
Maybe you have to do that through Andy Ressick. That's very strict guidelines.
What would be the total employees for the Classic Car?
Well, it's a good question. So there'd be a person by appointment, so really a museum curator that would be there. And the only real action would be the photo studio on the ground level where photographs would be taken for these cars and some of the other cars and that we represent as well.
Okay, and are there going to be, the delivery of the cars?
They will come in a single truck, as all deliveries. They'll come to Porsche
Okay,
and they'll be rolled or driven through the lot to get there.
ready to turn them on?
Sometimes, yes, Vince found that hard to believe. Sometimes they come in and they're not driven, they're rolled.
Okay,
Okay.
if it's delivery by truck, will there be any occasion where they're driven to the?
No, very, very, very rarely. Occasionally, but they're typically in a single car carrier that will be delivered to Porsche. The lots adjoin and it would go through the back of the lot.
Okay. And if it's delivered by truck, what type of truck? Not the same?
Single car carrier,
Single car carrier.
yes.
Okay, enclosed box
A
truck.
closed, yes.
Um,
If you notice, all our trucks are not labeled because many of our people, when we show up, they don't want anybody to know what's coming and what's in the truck.
Is that your security?
That's
or-
by design.
By
So even
design.
our service center is clandestine and our customers, it's not common knowledge as to where we service these cars.
You also have a service bay for Packers?
Packers in the
Packers.
Porsche store. We have the ability to service these. We have a dedicated bay in the Porsche store for collectible cars. Not just Porsches, but all cars.
So for this particular site, there is no need for extensive inventory outside.
There won't be any, because you can't keep these cars outside. Because the British ones leak and the Italian ones are too expensive.
It's always been like that. So we're asking for variance from the 3 acres.
Correct.
And so you don't need 3 acres for this.
We don't need 3 acres.
Okay, now this lot though is kind of tiny. It's like 11,270 square feet.
Right.
But it's zone C1, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that enough? Does that provide you with enough space for parking outside?
Yes.
And
We'd always like to have more, but we will make this work.
Well, you got 8 parking spaces, 1 or 2 employees, and maybe
It will work.
it will work. Okay.
And he's approving a parking deck, so we'll have extra space over there.
Now, are there any repair facilities on this?
Not in this site.
Okay. No outside storage.
Right.
So there's no need for inventory storage or repair storage like Porsche or Ferrari.
No.
Okay. And 2 or 3 customers per week by appointment. Okay,
So
so.
very low volume, very low traffic count.
Now, sir, do you agree with me that the subject property is irregularly shaped and uniquely situated at the intersection of Route 3 and Boot Road?
Yes.
In your opinion as property owner there, is the trip generation the key feature for proper use and proper safety, road safety?
Well,
for
certainly,
development of this site?
it's a huge improvement versus the traffic count for the floral shop and the pizza go.
Okay, and have you reviewed what the C1 commercial district allows?
No, I leave that to you.
Oh, okay. I'll leave.
Pay
that-
for something.
That's true. I'll leave that to Keith Lieberman then.
That's right.
In your view, is this like the minimum variances that needed to make this?
Yes, to make this a viable functioning enterprise, so I can pay my taxes.
And this will be compatible with the surrounding
Yes,
uses?
very complimentary to the Ferrari and Porsche store. Yes, sir.
And it's not gonna bother SAP America across Boot Road or?
I wouldn't think. I think it's a beautification project. Becomes
Okay.
Newtown Square, becomes a destination.
Okay, I buy that. No, I won't. If the variances and special exception are granted, for your development, see in any way that adversely affecting the development and use of any adjoining property?
No, I think it would enhance every part of it.
If
That's
the-
why I'm moving here.
If the variances and special exceptions granted, would your proposed classic car development and use adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare in any way?
I don't think so.
Definitely not road wise. Mr. Stanislav, is there any motor vehicle sales facility that is comparable to what you've conceived here?
Not in the area.
Okay, when you say in the area, how broad is the area?
Tri-state area.
Tri-state?
There, when you move to Connecticut or New York, you have a tendency to have. Boston has
Okay.
a similar location.
I don't have any further questions, Mr. Stanislaw. I open them up to the board. Any,
You guys still awake? Yes, sir.
It's also a pretty small parcel.
Yes.
And you've and Vince have talked about the kind of traffic and kind of customers and how they'll be invited and how they'll come in. I mean, what experience, because it is so unique, have you had experience with this kind of limited setting for this type of product?
Yes, so with the Ferrari store, that is part of what we do presently. So by example, there is a 275 competition car that's worth $6 million there. I don't know that I should make this public record, but they're very expensive cars that are there presently that are sold in such a fashion by appointment only. So by virtue of this store, it is going to be non-denominational, meaning that all of these manufacturers have very strict guidelines as to what you can sell and how you display them, because this will be owned by me. It won't be bound, as all of them are, but this won't be bound by any franchise requirements. As such, I can have a McLaren and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and a Packard all in the same building. You can't do that with these other franchises because Porsche, for example, is very sterile way that they allow you to sell classic Porsches. So this becomes that kind of that kind of, as I said, non-denominational ability to sell these classic cars.
But I'm kind of wondering, I mean, I've never seen a $25 million car.
That's why that's the first one that I showed you there. Interestingly enough, we're always servicing one.
But the thought that I'm having is, if I've never seen it, there's a lot of people never seen it that may want to see it.
Precisely.
And
They really won't know about it. So these aren't cars that will be spoken about in social media, right? We're not promoting people to come visit this.
So I guess what I'm trying to find out is from the experience you've had in the other settings that you've had this kind of setup.
So for example, we have one of these cars right now. No one knows where it is, right? So it's being serviced in a clandestine location, and we've been dealing with cars of this magnitude for since 2013. So for 12 years, we've been handling cars like this, and they're usually done well under the radar. So if we have one of these cars, it wouldn't be for long, and it certainly wouldn't be in my inventory that I owned it. It would be on consignment.
But in terms of the anticipated traffic coming in and out of this place, in terms of the number of employees that you have, because it is such a limited site. The gawkers, the people that hear about this place, that's so unique and special. From your experience in other places, has that been a problem or an issue?
Well, having owned what was Algar Ferrari on the main line, and this campus of stores now, and we've been here now for a little more than 2 years, we don't see that. So with the exception of the grand opening that we had, that some of you attended, there was over 1,000 people there. Independent of that, we don't get as many gawkers and visitors as I would expect it, particularly in this day of social media. So people can access this information online, and they will go to Dr. Simeon's museum or auto shows, but they don't really come out of their way. I'm kind of surprised myself, but my experience is such that this is a little intimidating to most people that are coming by. But when we do get a more commonplace collectible car, which we will occasionally have, that will be by appointment only. So, and by the way, also some of these people will come down from our McLaren store or Lamborghini store and be driven over to see a specific car that they're looking for. So there's much less than what you might think in the interlopers or the gawkers. Which, when they drive by at night, they'll see them, but most people don't even know. By your own question, I've never seen a $23 million car. You look at this car and you'd say, I wouldn't pay it 10 grand for it. So unless you know exactly what it is, you're not ever thinking that that first orange car is worth 23 million bucks. Right?
What gives value to that kind of value to vehicles?
I'm glad to say I have no idea. Why is the stock market? Why is Tesla worth what it's worth? It's what its perceived value is. They made 108 of them. They're very, very special cars. And that's what they fetch. So who are we to argue? So.
But can I just ask a couple of questions? So if I heard you correctly, you're gonna have a maximum of 8 cars at any given time
Yes,
without any inventory?
correct. The inventory will be displayed.
And you accept that as a condition?
Oh, yes. Because remember, we're joining the other 2 lots, so we have run spillover. And they have to be serviced at the other 2.
You'd have 8 public parking spots for,
How many parking spots?
8 parking spots for employees and customers.
also, my recollection is that when we approved your prior, Porsche and Ferrari, we had off-street loading,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
And that the loading was always going to be on the Porsche building is my recollection.
That is correct, and that's still the case.
And I think one of the conditions on the prior approvals were that we have an easement
That's right.
utilized on the back side of the building
Correct.
to access each of the buildings.
Correct.
And as a condition, that easement is going to be extended
It's
through
been-
to this
Yes.
building if so approved. You
Yes.
accept
On that
condition?
subject, this was generated in conjunction with the application for special exception and variances for the garage. I think it was the board's condition.
Yeah, we want that easement
Well,
because
it's-
because we
what I'm
want them
hearing-
to stay on the campus. We
Yes.
don't really want them to be on public roads. We don't want these cars
That's why I'm
to leave
asking
the
the
campus.
question. But
Yes,
it would be a recordable easement of record so that if you sold one of your franchises, that you would have that continuation.
Wasn't
Sam, on
that
that-
from the last one? Sam,
What's that?
didn't they have to do that from when we
Yes, that's
did
what
it
I-
before?
that's
That's,
what
Yeah.
that's an easement between properties.
correct.
Yeah.
Right, I remember that.
We have to extend it to this parcel to access,
Well, he's asking for that in one of his things.
oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm asking it
Yeah.
on the record.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have some testimony with regard to.
If it may please the board, the garage has been approved. The land development has been given tentative approval with conditions which have been met. Plans have been finalized. The cross easement agreement has been submitted, as has the land development, security agreement, and stormwater management agreement. And we're just awaiting review and approval from the solicitor at this point. of the
Yeah,
tenth.
I don't have a problem with that prior. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure
Yeah.
we
It carries
understand that
Yeah.
we're going to extend that easement through to this parcel to access whatever cars are coming and
All-
going.
And that's one of the variances we asked is to eliminate the loading and unloading per parcel, because every affiliated dealership.
I
is using
understand.
a
I
Porsche.
don't have a problem with the grant, but I want to make sure
Yeah.
that we have some permanency to that grant by virtue of a recorded
The
document.
easement will be recorded.
Um, you're proposing, less than the 40 feet front yard setbacks, correct?
Yes,
So you're asking for a variance to 20 feet, 9 inches, as I read this,
correct.
correct? And
20 feet. 20 even.
20 even?
20.9 feet,
By the way,
That's what I saw.
9/10 of a foot, not 9 inches, it's 9.
by the way, the setbacks, unlike the existing use, are full, for the general C1 commercial district, are fully satisfied. We are totally within the basic C1 commercial district setbacks. What we're not in is the setbacks required for the, quote, the large dealership like the Porsche.
Like the acreage. I just need to make sure that when I
Keith.
do what I have to
make
do,
this-
I got clarity.
Yeah.
Chief will address it too.
Yeah, Keith has.
Let's get him sworn in. And if you're gonna, down, is there a microphone at that table that you're at?
Yeah, I have
There you
I have an
go.
extra one here.
Oh, here?
I do. Keith Lieberman, Keith Lieberman. Yeah, so just to provide some clarification on testimony, it's actually 20 feet. It's the setback is 20, to be precise about it. I think the 20.9, Vince was a parking setback dimension or something on plan. Yeah, I actually went over this with the design engineer, and we looked at it in CAD. It is 20 feet, to just clarify the record. I think we're splitting hairs a little bit, but let's get it on the record as the accurate dimension. It is
I
20.
take it that request is due to the uniqueness of the lot itself.
You say that again? I'm sorry.
I take it that your request for a variance of that dimensional requirement is due to the uniqueness of the lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the uniqueness of the lot, and the existing building, there's an existing structure on the site, as you're well aware, and that at its closest point has a setback of, I believe, 10.4 feet is the existing setback. So we're in essence. Correct. So we're in essence providing a greater setback than what is currently provided on the site, and the 40%, or sorry, the 40-foot setback requirement is only the motor vehicle sales setback. The current C1 district permits for a 20-foot setback for structures on the underlying C1. And I would offer that both the uniqueness of the site and its size and the uniqueness of this particular auto vehicle sales is why we're requesting the 20-foot, the variance to 20 feet. Yep, it is. That is correct.
You've also been the project manager for the Porsche dealership and for the Ferrari and now for classic car as well.
Correct.
Okay, and you have expertise in design layout and as well as civil engineering and also the analysis of trip generations and design of access points and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely, for a variety of sites throughout the entire Philadelphia region for the last 25 years, correct.
Okay, I would submit Keith as an expert in those areas that I just addressed.
You gonna mark his resume?
Excuse me?
Are you marking his CV?
Yes.
Putting it in?
And that's going to be, everything's going to be moved into evidence.
Exhibit 9.
We have it as exhibit.
What is that?
Exhibit. It's in the packet. We'll do.
Thank you. Keith, apart from the encroachments, which are shown on Exhibit 8 of with the existing pizza building, or pizza shop building and florist shop and whatever else is over there, is there a difference in green area being provided?
Yeah, from the existing property.
Yeah, is it accurate to state that the current green area with the impervious coverage and all that's in the building coverage only leaves about 25% green area?
Correct. The current existing
And what does the
site,
current development?
yeah, the current existing site has approximately 25% green area, and our proposed site will have 34%. So we're going to see an increase in the amount of green space.
Now, how about how critical is trip generation for a safe development of this site?
I think it's really important. I think it's particularly important with, this site, given the particular use we are proposing and the uniqueness of the site and the size and the access points. But what I would offer, and I'm glad to provide detailed testimony on it, this site, again, because of its uniqueness, will generate very, very few trips. In fact, I would offer that it would be fewer trips than any by right use permitted in the C1 zoning district.
Just out of curiosity, did you do a trip generation analysis for just the pizza shop and the florist shop in the apartment that used to be there?
Yes, I did, in fact.
How did you do that?
We use the industry standard, which is ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers, trip generation manual. Latest version, I believe, is version 11. They are the gold standard for trip generation in the transportation world. They provide a variety of land use categories that they use, and it's based on many, many studies and statistical data that they gather to come up with average trip generation for a variety of uses. Although pizza shop in particular is not an identified use in land use category in ITE, they do have a category which is land use category 932, which is a high turnover sit-down restaurant. That is the best approximation we could give to this pizza shop. Excuse me?
There was no.
Yeah, understood.
That's why it's high turnover.
We'll get,
Understood.
you, I know I see you raising your hand, but you will have an opportunity to give public comment. You're not a party for testing. Okay, let's,
It was bake at home mom's pizza. We know. You know what it was.
we know what it was. We all live here. Okay.
Okay. I was about to further state that in the world of transportation, engineering, and trip generation, it is a combination of using the ITE manual and the data provided there, as well as engineering judgment. It's extremely common with traffic engineers that they actually evaluate sites like the pizza shop, like Mom's Pizza, where there is no said category in the ITE manual. In that situation, what you do is you refer to what you believe to be the most appropriate use, and then you use some engineering judgment, which is what I did. I actually did some of my own calculations based on my estimation of what traffic patterns would be like at a pizza facility. As I'm familiar with the pizza facility, I've patronized that pizza facility in the past. And my calculations were very similar actually to the data that came out of ITE. Based on the square footage of that facility, it estimates about 160 trips a day is what you would get throughout the entire day. That's average trips throughout the day. There are peak hours. It's not looking into the peak hours, but that would be the average trips. For the florist, IT does not have anything on florist. So again, using my engineering judgment, I'm estimating about 20 to 30 trips a day for that florist. As it relates to the apartment, IT has pretty specific criteria on apartment. One apartment is about 8 to 10 trips per day per apartment. So in doing that analysis, my estimation is, and there's a variety of C1 uses, many of which in reviewing the ordinance would generate even more traffic, but we chose to do the pizza shop and the florist and the apartment because that's what was existing there. Our estimation was about 190 to 200 trips a day. Comparing that to this classic car facility, again, to go to ITE, there's absolutely no data for something like this. This is extraordinarily unique. So using engineering judgment, it's based on my interviews with the owner and how he will operate the facility, the number of vehicles he estimates bringing into that photo studio on a daily basis, which would generate 2 trips per car coming in, having picture taken and leaving. The employee usually generates about 4 trips a day, comes in the morning, leaves in the afternoon, might go out for lunch. Some days might not, but we use on a conservative basis about 4 trips a day. And then you have the customers. And I believe was testified to, the customers are expected to be very infrequent. And I think the owner believes we're talking a few people a month. Literally, like it could be 2 to 3, 2 to 5 people over the course of a month. So those trips on a daily basis, as you can imagine, are extremely low. Based on that, based on a lot of my own engineering judgment, I'm estimating on the high end about 15 to 20 trips a day associated with this facility, which is about 10% of what was likely the amount of activity on trips per day coming in and out of that site when it was previously a florist, pizza shop, and apartment building. Or one apartment, sorry, above the pizza shop.
How about the current access onto Boot Road? Is that a two-way traffic?
Yeah, as what exhibit is that, Vince?
That's exhibit 6.
Okay, so yeah, referring to exhibit 6, you'll see that we have labeled a number of access points on that plan. You'll see along West Chester Pike, identified as number 3 and number 4. Those are 2 existing access points. Number 4 is we are intending to close that access point, so that'll no longer exist. That is essentially a right in, right out, full movement onto West Chester Pike access, and it will go away as part of our application. Number 3 is the location of an existing access, which again is a full movement right in, right out. We are going to be adding a new access essentially at the same location. However, we intend it to be right. It's going to be a right in, a right out only. I apologize, right out only. No, I mean, correct the record. That's a right in.
Oh, coming from Boot Road.
No, I'm talking about the West Chester Pike. The West Chester Pike is right in, right? Number 3 is a right in. The number 2, which you'll see on the plan in front of you, is location of an existing access, which is a full movement. It's a right in and a left out at that and a right in, right out, and a left out. That's full access movement today. Our proposal is that be a right out only. Okay, so that would be reduced to a right out only. And then number 1 on this exhibit is a proposed curb cut that will provide access to the showroom. It'll be a driveway where vehicles, as was testified to, will be delivered at the Porsche dealership, and they'll be driven the short distance over here to be driven physically into the showroom. That access point there will get very, very minimal use, maybe a couple times a month as cars come and go. And that is how we intend to change the access and movements at this location.
Variance.
The WISP being proposed are adequate to service this facility. We are asking for variance to reduce those. There's a requirement for a minimum width of 25 feet. It's obviously for a full access point in and out. We're asking that to be reduced down to 13.67 for one of the access points and 16 feet for another one of those access points. Again, they're both one way. No, not in my opinion. It is. It's adjacent to the west of the property is existing C1 uses, which obviously have the dealerships that are there. To the south across West Chester Pike is Hill Cadillac. So yeah, I absolutely believe it's consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. SAP. Special use district, correct.
We don't see it.
I do not. I do believe so. I believe it's a beautiful building. I think it'll be an enhancement to the township, and I think it'll have minimal impact on traffic and infrastructure.
I have no further questions of this witness, unless the board has more. Oh, one other one. I'm not going to go through all the special exceptions.
Yeah.
Standards and burdens of proof of section 172-13. Have you reviewed that section?
I did.
And 172-13A talks about the 6 items that are burden of proof. Are there any questions there that would elicit an adverse opinion on your part?
I do not have it right here in front of me, and I do not believe so.
Okay. How about the general standards in 172-13, capital C? Would your testimony also positively address those standards in favor of the project?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Unless the board wants me to go through them individually, because I know that you enjoy that.
No.
I'll pass on that and let it go as is. And I would move all exhibits into evidence. That's exhibit 1 through 9.
They are admitted.
Thank you.
You have any additional witnesses? I know we
Nope.
have this gentleman back here itching for public comment. I didn't forget about you, I promise.
Public comment, correct?
Yeah, public
Okay.
comment,
No
right?
problem.
You're on as a. Come on up to the podium here, make sure the microphone is lit up in green and.
Your name? My name's Howard Walker. I live at 102 Boot Road. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, you're
Sure,
good.
hold up like this. First of all, like I understand like you went through your calculations, but I've lived on that street for 17 years. That building never got close to 190 trips a day unless they were driving in invisible cars. There was maybe 10 or 20 cars there at the most. There was an apartment above there that had one guy living in it that was barely there half the time. I mean, so that's greatly exaggerated the number of trips there. And in exhibit 2A and 2B, when they're showing the rendering of the building, not the new building, the existing structure. I mean, the reason why it's dilapidated is because Rockhill bought it about 3 years ago and hasn't maintained it. They just let it sit there and rot, right? So of course it's going to look like crap, right? And I don't like it either, but let's be honest about why it looks that way. It's because they bought it and let it just sit there without anybody in there. That's one of the reasons. And then I just have a thing, this board just a couple minutes ago was giving people grief about variances for their pool being too long or too much. And here these guys are coming in asking, put a dealership on, what is that, a quarter acre? A half at the most, right? So they're asking to put a dealership on something that should be on 3 acres onto a quarter or less than a half an acre. And, you know, you're just like, oh yeah, okay. You know, and I know there's no decision's been made, but like, let's be consistent. Like those people were asking for a pool and you're like, oh yeah, that's too much of a variance. And I think Mr. Falcone, you're the one who said it, like you were giving.
I don't disagree, but that's the ordinance. We go by the ordinance.
Yeah, I know. Well, the ordinance
Like-
here, right,
like-
is a dealership needs to be on 3 acres, right? That's what was said, right? That's what the variance they're seeking, correct?
It is, and that's why they're in here
Yeah.
pleading their case for what is not a typical dealership. They're saying they have a.
But
Well,
it's
you asked the
car
question,
dealership.
I'm answering it.
Yeah,
but you know
yeah, I
what?
know.
I'm actually not going to engage. I'll let you finish
Okay,
your
no,
public comment.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No,
I just get.
It's not a regular car dealership. That's why they're in here for a variance. What the other case was, which has nothing to do with this, was related to a pool that the neighbors have concerns about stormwater management. That's
Yeah,
their
I
worry.
understand.
So one has nothing to do with the other. This is a completely different case. And honestly, I'm doing what I normally don't like to do. It's public comment, so say your piece.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
let
fine.
us know.
I just have been having dealerships, I mean, problems with this dealership for years, ever since we moved onto the street. I mean, it just gets to a point where it's too much, like, and these renderings that they're showing of the dealership, notice you don't see the backside, so I'm not gonna see what's showing out on my street. I'm just seeing what's looking out on West Chester Pike. Yeah, I live at 102 Boot Road. It's further down the street, but I don't, about a half a mile. Yeah. This,
You're gonna see it, right?
I drive by it every day. This is the street I live on, though. This is where it affects my property values when you're
And
putting
that's,
things
listen,
in
that's
there.
it's a fair concern.
Yeah,
But
you don't know what the back, you're not showing what the backside of that looks like. I don't understand if you're up here saying you have 8 cars going in here, you're gonna put up a 3-story complex?
Yeah.
But why? Why? What, how much bigger is that than what's on there, on the property right now?
Ask them a question.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, we own the real estate.
yeah, understood.
And what's there now, we're not in the business of operating.
No, I'm not saying you are, but like, let's be honest about why the building's in the
Exactly
condition it
that.
is.
We are being, you're building a classic car center that looks like that. Why is it 3 stories? Because of demand.
It is, you
It's
just said it
ground level.
was.
We're gonna, speak frankly,
Yeah.
it's ground level, showroom, and it's office space.
It's a 3-story building. You
Yeah,
said he's,
okay.
yeah,
We're not understanding.
yeah. How
And
much
yes,
bigger is it than the?
Sorry, we're gonna have to do one at a time.
One at a
Okay,
time.
sorry.
So yes,
This gets me
the
fired.
cars will be displayed on the display level.
Yeah.
The office space.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very, very low volume. So, and I don't.
But I'm not-
dispute- please let
Okay,
me
yeah,
finish.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I am not disputing that the traffic count is off, their estimate.
Yeah.
So let's say he's off by 100%. Let's say he's off. He said 160. Say it's 50. We're 10. Going to improve the traffic count, no matter what. Period. It's going to beautify the area. It's certainly going to look better than that.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying,
So,
I don't care about the traffic going in and out. I care about like the look of the building. Like, I can't see what's the
well, we-
backside's gonna
we
look
can-
like.
We'll give you the 3D. When they're submitted, it'll be a matter of public.
And then like the cars that are coming in off of Boot Road, like, how are they getting there?
They're not, they're coming in through, they have several levels of egress. One from the existing lot, you heard.
Okay.
They were asking that.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
will be access.
Yeah,
In the second
but
level.
like to get into the showroom,
Yes.
you talk
there
about
is-
like there's an access point
yes,
that's on
there's
Blue
an
Road, that's a
access
little
point,
further up.
As it would be.
Yeah,
You know, because obviously.
but how are they getting in there? So they're
They'll
coming
be-
down,
Yeah, they'll be coming on grade, like a barn, like the old barn.
they're not gonna be coming in like, you're gonna come off of West Chester Pike and take a left into that access point to get
It'll
into
come
the.
off.
Right, but you're not gonna come all the way down Boot Road from
No, you
Goshen.
can access.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
you can go down.
And then like you're gonna come in from West Chester Pike and go in on the backside.
No, we have to come in right. So principally, we'll be coming in through
Yeah,
the
let,
existing lot.
if I can, what will, sorry, your name again?
Howard.
Howard. What will happen is the vehicles will be delivered at the Porsche dealership.
Okay,
When you leave the Porsche dealership, as you know, you have only one movement, which is right out onto West Chester
Yeah,
Pike.
yeah.
I'm sorry, when the vehicles will be delivered to the Porsche dealership, at that point, someone will drive the vehicle out onto West Chester Pike, down to the signalized intersection where a U-turn is permissible. They'll U-turn back up West Chester Pike, they'll make the left onto Boot Road, and they'll make a left into that driveway. That is by far the absolute short, to go any other route to
Yeah, yeah,
get
no,
there
no, I
would be
agree.
like a 5 mile like loop. You
No,
have to
I'm
go
fine.
all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do that.
A plan for that, this is most efficient, low traffic. Only so much you can do with that. It is an eyesore.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm just arguing that it's an eyesore because you let it become one, because it serves your
That's not
purpose.
fair.
Yes, it
That's
does.
not fair, because you know that
It's
that
like,
looks
I
very much.
drive
like
past
that.
it. Yeah, I
That-
mean, it was it wasn't exactly maintained
Thank you.
100%, but I mean,
If you
it's
put
worse
it
now.
Structurally inside.
Yeah, I've never been,
It
I
was
was in the
fixed to
pizza place,
death.
but that's it.
My
Yeah.
builder has been begging me to tear it down, but quite candidly, the reason why it's still standing, we're all big boys here.
Yeah.
You tear it down, they won't let me build anything.
Oh, you mean if it was not,
Yes.
nothing there?
Okay. Yeah, we're done, right? Absolutely, but I'm assuring you, you will love it when it's done. Hey, Carl, show you a thing.
I have a question. I thought you had mentioned you're gonna take the cars from the Porsche dealership out on West Chester Pike. They're gonna go on an access road
Right.
behind, right?
Right?
Behind the properties, correct? They're not coming out on West Chester Pike and at the signal light making a U-turn and
Well-
coming in.
Well, we're, in order to get, remember, we're restricting the left out onto Boot Road.
No, I'm just talking about when you discharge the cars at the Porsche parking lot.
Correct.
That's the reason why we're requesting you have the access, the right-of-way access road behind all the properties, so you're not coming out on West Chester Pike. But that's not what you just said.
Correct.
Porsche to Ferrari to this place.
Right, they're not coming out on a Pike or Beat Road. They're gonna work on that Eastman Road, right?
Correct.
Short distance.
Well, no, to be clear on the record, again, we were restricting the left out onto Boot Road. So if we were to come through the property, again, we're talking about cars that are delivered a couple times a month, okay? For us to do that, we have to make the left on the Boot Road. We specifically restricted the left on the Boot Road out of respect for the Boot Road residents, quite honestly. We could do a left onto Boot Road. We have the site distance, we could do that. We didn't want the Boot Road residents concerned about people coming through this property and trying to come out left onto Boot Road. So that was a self-imposed restriction on ourselves.
We granted you a variance or especially a variance at the meeting for the other properties that you would not be doing that, specifically not being able to do that. That's why we requested the right-of-way road behind on the property, so people wouldn't be driving up and down Boot Road or West Chester Pike. Isn't that what we did, Andy? I thought.
For this specific site?
Yes, all of them.
We are interconnecting all this. We're specifically talking about the delivery of the classic cars to be displayed in the showroom. We're not talking about Ferraris. We're not talking about, there's a photo studio on the ground level in here, which the applicant has stated will use for the classic cars, but additionally will use for.
I'm not discussing.
So
that.
those cars are not going out on the West Chester Pike.
You had said, right, that they were gonna be unloaded at the Porsche dealer and come down West Chester Pike at the traffic light, come around.
Oh, no.
That's not my understanding of what was happening.
They're not.
I don't think
They're
that's-
getting unloaded at Porsche. You're really confusing them. They're being unloaded at Porsche and they're using the back roads that are
Correct.
joined behind the building to
Yes.
get there in the photo studio.
That was our understanding before and now.
That's how they're getting to this access point right here.
That's how they're
Through the
getting to
back, there's
first
like
level.
gonna be roads someplace
Yeah.
within
Where
your
your finger-
complex? Okay,
where your finger-
that's gonna get them access to that entrance. That's what I
That's
was
correct.
talking
Yes,
about. Okay.
yes.
And then this
They're
one's
not
gonna be
taking
the
any
right
other
out
roads.
only, right, for customers?
And there also will be another press on Boot Road that gets cars in the second level display. When they get stopped.
A little confused. So if off-roading is.
Right.
You want to get it to the showroom? Past the garage and past the area on this part.
Right.
You have direct access from that back road to the showroom.
No, to the first level, not to the show.
So get a delivery. You have to go from some location at the Porsche dealer. Access one of the public roads to get into the showroom.
To get into the showroom, you're correct. So they'll be trucked, pulled out, and then pushed.
So,
No, he's right.
so you get trucked. But where does the truck off?
We own houses, so pulling the driveway. Remember, they're good, as I said, this is gonna be as much
that really the intent of what we were talking about in terms of the access road? The access road was.
The access road is where the action will be. That's where the cars will be photographed and but to put into the showroom. Access.
But only make a right onto Boot Road. It would come out of the lot and basically make a U-turn back into the building.
Into the building, right? No, that's right, listen. Right. We own 6 Brook Road, we do. Any parcels on site, where they can pull over.
So you're suggesting you would offload on some other parcel
Yes.
related to all of this?
Yes.
parcel?
So is that legal? Can you use a residential lot to unload commercial vehicles?
Not a lot, but you can use. the
With your,
shoulder.
like the house?
We do, yeah, we can use the shoulder, because when we pick these cars up for service, doing that every day with our truck.
Then they please support, another way to handle it. Yeah. So, if they want her to have left-hand turn
Right.
on road, they just go up to the.
Turn left
It's a matter
into
of,
it.
what, 78?
Right.
Well, I think the issue is the only way you're getting to that
Yeah.
second floor is with
That's-
Boot Road for
That's
that.
exactly
So
right. So you have one of two ways to do it. Keep the left turn there, go in 70 feet
Correct.
instead, or pull the truck over onto the shoulder.
I mean, or you have that easement going across it, right? If you're
We already
unloading,
have it.
right, if you're
We already
unloading
have
with
it.
the rest of the vehicles, you just gotta roll a little further than up
Correct.
and
Right
turn
in.
in.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. So don't give up the right.
I don't think
That
anything
left
would
hand be only
we-
change there.
We'll
Yeah.
design it for a right in and a left out.
Well, no, the offloading would still happen with the other vehicles is what we're saying, correct? You're gonna
Correct.
offload
So
on the
if we-
same spot.
If you want to stipulate that we're not unloading there, then we'll just keep the left turn only and take the cars right from the egress road right there. Take the left and the left 50 feet, whatever it is to go.
Correct. If the Boot Road access permitted a right out and a left out, then the
Which it
vehicles,
still does.
today,
that way.
today it's a full movement. If our newly proposed one-way exit allowed for a right out and a left out, then those vehicles that were
Boot
delivered.
Road would only be a right out right now, right? I mean, you're saying you don't want people to make a left out on the Boot Road and go down past where the houses are,
So
right?
we have two options. If we forbid the trucks, then we keep the left so we can pull the cars in. That's all. We keep it the way that it is.
Yeah,
You wanna
I
make it
think
right
going
only.
back to what initially came up from the zoning meeting, whatever, years ago, or whatever it was when we gave the easement, was that was the spot for offloading vehicles. There was no
Correct.
disruption to West Chester Pike. You had an easement that came through there that
Correct.
we knew was gonna interconnect all these lots. So if a
Correct.
delivery comes in for one of these 8 vehicles, it's unloaded at the same spot as the rest of them, goes through the easement, and all it would have to do is go up. I get that we're going on the Boot Road and it's gonna have to make a right and a right into the
That's
parking.
best. That would be the best solution.
They would have to make a left and a right, right? Because you're gonna be coming out.
They have an
A left
easement.
and a left. Right.
A left and a
I'm sorry,
left, yeah,
left and a left.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
You're all talking big money.
Okay.
That can be designed that.
Well, it can be, and it already is. It's granted, right?
But they're not making a
We're not
left onto
making-
Boot Road.
Correct.
Right, I don't wanna say the word right now, Dad. But I think getting away from what we were getting into where it was gonna be, let's offload on the shoulder, and then you're getting concerned about that. I'm just making sure that what we did years ago is
Yeah,
being done here.
Enforced. Correct.
everything else, this is like not comparable to the.
No, I understand that, I do, I mean, and
It's a
that's,
function of if you don't want to see a truck on Boot Road, we'll leave it the way that it is and make the left and we're done. We use
Yes, I
the
think
connecting
that-
lots and
that's
make
done.
2 lefts.
they're
We're all
not
done.
getting, you're saying it's not being changed out that often anyway, right? It's 8
No,
classic
No,
vehicles
that's the
that,
whole thing.
right,
It's very rare.
and nobody's making a left out of there that goes down Boot Road past
Correct. They're going
Howard's
50
house.
feet. Right.
Well, I'm more concerned about going the other way, coming from Goshen down.
I can't imagine, I mean, is there any rendering of the back of this that can be
There
done
is,
right
we don't
now,
have
or
it. There is.
can
but
you
we
just
don't
turn the image around?
There's,
have- Yeah,
we have the, we provided.
But listen, we have to wrap this up. I have to drive to Washington. Working on tariffs. Gotta get out of here.
So can I request to see the backside of what the building looks like at some point?
I mean, how does that even work? Cause it's public comment. I mean, I guess if you want to work that out with them and you're not a party protesting.
Okay.
I mean, in good faith, if they want to just make that arrangement to, you know,
We'll get it.
Can you-
Again, during land development.
Okay.
And it's a reference that we have left turns out right there.
The right words.
yeah. Turnout wasn't the issue, it was just the unloading.
Okay. All right.
We don't have those.
What's that?
We don't have.
Okay.
With us.
Right. All right. That's
Good?
I get a little fired up.
What's your favorite kind of plastic car?
I don't.
Like the ones that
really
don't
care
drive by
about
my
cars. I like the ones that stay off my street.
record.
Ones that don't drive on my street.
What do you drive?
Subaru.
Okay, well, that's very.
You're the one that just said we have to wrap this up and now you're
Yeah,
starting.
now
a
you're asking.
conversation.
Property?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I think it's good all.
And we got a Jeep from Vidian, so sticking.
You have a cheaper thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I got beef with you guys. Take
Yeah.
my
Off the, we're off the record.
We're off.
No,
All right.
All right.
how do we want to handle this? Do we want to? I mean, I'm fine with it if you guys want to do a quick executive session. I mean, it is laid out, but I would rather, before we read everything off, make sure we get all of our,
You won't be here next.
nice try, Sam. Let's, let's
Thank
do
you,
a,
Chair.
let's do a quick executive session and get this wrapped up now, because otherwise we're gonna be back in the same boat wondering why we have 10 cases. That's fine.
Okay, all right, I'm leaving, you can call me.
Okay, well,
I'm gonna hear from. All right. Thanks. Thank you for coming. Oh, thanks. We're all.
Now you know why we put you last, Vince?
You gonna show them your Aston Martin?
That's my golf club part down there.
Thank you. Where's?
Break down windows.
Huh?
Yeah,
go ahead.
If anything, we're.
I don't know how you guys do it. I watch you on my hand, I could never do that job.
You've seen what we've done. Nobody else. Breakfast set.
Oh, really?
Working on this, where your that they, the end of the meeting, they'll thank us.
No, I got diagnosed with it. My right hand mouse is falling. Started tingling. Yeah, my mom.
Oh, yes.
Genetics.
Yeah.
Genetics. Identify.
16 and then the one to the, like, if I'm looking at 6 line, there's one to the right.
He just said something very fun. Let me know when you start on Blue Road House, then you can be on my side. Very funny.
Appreciate you keeping the cars on the street.
We-
Don't
yeah.
spend them.
Well, sometimes there are longer.
Yeah.
You know for a fact, there was an SAP executive that was really ripping down Blue Road.
Yeah.
We identified who that was. But at any rate, thanks for coming.
One of my daughters, she goes to Sacred Heart Academy. One of her friends,
portion?
Yeah.
Or do you know what the park? Because we have the others.
No, it's the one in,
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right, so, thank you for your patience.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good job.
Good luck on that.
Thanks.
Good
Good
job.
job. All right.
Executive session. Eric.
Well, they're an executive.
Well, we got.
They're in executive session.
We're, yeah, we're gonna.
Thanks.
I have this.
Oh, they're going back.
Oh, I'm supposed to stop.
Yeah, they're gonna go down, they're gonna come back and read the decision. They didn't wanna do it live.
Hear you, so probably get the. Mr. Neese, will you call me and give me the decision? In case Vince skips out on me?
We'll give you.
We got married after tonight.
Thanks,
Do that.
thanks, Vince.
We'll get you.
Good night, drive safely.
Take the rest of the day off, okay?
Gotta catch a flight tomorrow myself.
Valencia?
To California.
Yeah.
All right.
Client.
That was entertaining. Boy, I got a little hung up on that, on the write out stuff. But,
I mean,
like, nobody was listening to that.
I was listening to.
But like, I'm like, hey, we can do it, just give us the left out. Give us the left out, that's what people wanted.
Yeah, I think the township would have said, no way, we're gonna allow you to unload cars on the.
Right.
I mean, there's just
And they
no way.
clearly didn't want us,
Private there.
yeah, but they clearly didn't want us to take it out on the road, which, great, we'll take it around the back, give us the left. We did the left, up and those things, we didn't want to. Stay up on Blue.
I think what you do is you keep it as a no left turn,
Yeah.
but you're only doing it for the vehicles you're taking inside. Like, it's labeled as a no left turn. We all know if you're taking a vehicle inside, we're not gonna,
Honestly speaking, I don't think there.
Yeah, we could actually put,
Can't be that many.
we could put a
people
custom,
that much money.
we could put a custom sign there that says, it's like a no left turn, it just says, underneath it, except employees.
we don't even need, I just think if you say no left turn, you just leave it at that. And
Not
if
gonna be a
we know,
traffic-
because we can't enforce it anyhow.
Hey.
But I think it's important to have it as that.
But I mean.
I knew where he lived. He's the furthest resident away almost on the road.
Wait, 9 miles. I just let it go. Party staff.
Think so?
That's. That's great. Even Robert doesn't want to spend. Already got took on this property.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that is.
150.
It's president, it's got a little accent.
Wow. Yeah, that building. Our contractor's dying, I think.
Year or two?
But why wouldn't we put something in there, and make a couple bucks?
First thing we see.
All you did is like.
It's the same building, it's always been there.
I'll tell you what. you know, guys did a- Put the architecture.
I don't have an image. Imagine. It's not looking attractive.
Yeah, I think coming in for land development, you're gonna wanna have that.
Right.
Because you're going back and you know, that's kind of considered a residential road.
Right.
So you're gonna, people are gonna wanna, I think the board, trying to tell you from what I would expect my
No, I
board, they're gonna wanna see that.
You're saying that it comes to a point like this.
Yeah.
As you come down, the point so that behind it's gonna be attractive as well.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna look great. I just think people are gonna wanna see it
You
and.
need the back of it for.
Yeah.
flowering tree.
Yeah, and I think that think about all the things that you wanted, how quickly you want to get through.
Right.
Try to answer all those things up front.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Are you talking about along Boot Road?
Yeah, I'm saying, what does it look like here?
Yeah, he's just saying the back of the.
So they, like, what's the door look like to go in? What's that look?
Yeah, it's not glass, it's like wall.
Yeah.
Right, like you can see it, it's all wall there, so. Yeah, he wants.
Yeah,
to-
like, if you took this.
You're on Boot Road, you're on this side.
Yeah, what did it look like from there?
That's
And particularly, what is this, like, when you say it's a barn entrance,
But detail.
I think people are gonna wanna see,
Yeah.
you know, what that looks like.
Sure.
So that when somebody says, I'm riding down a residential road, what is that? Just remember sidewalk. If we make you put sidewalks all the way to the west way down, we're gonna make you put sidewalks to the end.
Right.
Well, I think at least to here, I think you could argue you don't wanna go back that way. Yeah, but we're for sure gonna want it along West Chester Pike. I would put it in along West Chester Pike and see what. And the sidewalk down. Because you're gonna, that will now give us, remember when everybody said, why would we want to put the sidewalk in front of the Porsche dealership? You've proven us why, because we now have it all the way down. And then we'll bring it down to the intersection. I don't think you need to return it. It's in the right of way.
Yeah, it's in the right of way.
Yeah, I would make sure it's in.
It's challenging at Ferrari, but they did a nice job of it.
Well, I have to tell you, I was looking at the picture. We need to have it, because if we have it, now I'll put pressure on the other two places. When Evitons come in and bring sidewalk there. So now we really will be doing that.
Sidewalk, just so we're clear, the sidewalk just comes.
For now, and I can't say what the board will say, but for sure it does. No, there's nothing on Boot Road right today.
I know there is.
You mean in front of SAP on West Chester Pike? Oh, absolutely, we did.
That's gonna cost us. Now we're gonna have to do like the whole curb cut and like.
Yep,
do the whole ADA
absolutely.
ramp again.
Actually, if you look here, the
PennDOT
ADA
is-
ramp has been done there.
Oh, it has been done
We
there?
made that part of the project that came down.
So the ramp's already,
I'm pretty sure the ramp is in the middle there. I think you have an old picture. Because I'm pretty sure.
Hey, there it is, look.
Yep.
Oh, that's easy now. Oh, my gosh, you got it there. Oh, that's a piece of cake.
I've
I
been
was
pushing.
like,
for
that's
some-
good. I was like, Steve, that's gonna cost us some serious money and there did the work for us. All we gotta do is remove that curve
Yeah,
and then extend it down.
yes,
Oh, piece of cake.
yes.
Beautiful.
I think, look, I know everybody thinks I'm crazy when I push for all those sidewalks. I came here, we were one of the least walkable communities in Delaware County. And we're trying to
I'll
change
tell
that.
you what. I've been more active in, well, I have seen.
They kick you out?
I didn't want anyone clowning around, so I was
I've
asking.
literally seen. Oh,
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was looking at that, I'm like, I'm like, I know we're gonna have to do it, but that's gonna cost us like
It's not
a bunch of money.
from what it was
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Well, when I can tell you, just even, I mean, in the last 10 years, there's been huge changes.
Oh, yeah.
But if you do years, it's really a lot of changes.
I'm trying to go back to at least 98. When SAP came.
Yeah.
And that was a big, big change. They did the second building, that was a big thing. Then they did something stupid. They made that to DEP. They conveyed the roads to each consternation later on because it's put signage on both sides. And they couldn't get access to the whole pathway. That 5-foot difference on the whole side of the road is how much more than that.
Oh, no, he's right. I appreciate it. Charge you overtime.
Everyone good to get started again? All right, we're back in session then, so, I'll turn it over to you to,
I'll make a motion, that we grant the variances and special exceptions to Rockhill Real Estate XVIII LP, for relief from sections 172-20, 172-134, 172-117A2, 117A3, 117D2, 172-132F1, and also with the conditions that the shared easement behind the property is recorded. No service of any vehicles at the site. No more than 8 vehicles permitted to park. There'll be no offloading, only at the Porsche dealership. Okay, and no more than 3 employees permitted working at any one time. The max vehicles of showroom is 8. I thought that was one of the.
you said that, right?
Huh? Yes,
Parking and showroom.
no more than 8 vehicles parking or in the showroom. Right.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck with the new space.
Thank you.
And thank you for B. That made our job a lot easier.
Well done.
I think everybody wanted to get out of here. I've been chastised before.
Now.
I started feeling good out there. Mr. Jennings. I said, I'm not so bad. Just confirming you're done for this evening.
Hold on, meeting adjourned. All right.